Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Here they go. It almost looked like Vital was in slow motion. He was in the air so long.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Sliding, throwing, touchdown Dallas! C.D. Lamb.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Flagler, oh goodness, all nylon.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This Tuesday afternoon, May the 18th, 3:01. Right now we have Jack McKenzie runs the mothership and his decathlon of producing and everything else. Hayden is here. Thank you, Hayden. Good to have you as well. That doesn't mean I didn't say thank you to Jack, because we know what you're doing. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoak to my right, David Smoak. And Baylor today got a much-needed commitment from not just an offensive lineman, but an offensive lineman who can help him perhaps immediately. And Jake Gall from Buffalo. Grayson Grunhafer will join us here in a few minutes to kind of break him down. I would think that if you're from Buffalo, he left because his coach went to Kansas. And I saw a note where he's one of the highest-rated returning offensive linemen based on his position. But I would not be transferring just because my coach left. I would also not be going somewhere unless I thought, or maybe I knew, not because you're promised, but I knew you could start. And I think Jacob Gall will be somebody penciled in at guard for Baylor, and we know they need help on the offensive line.
Yeah, they do, and it's all hands on deck at that position. It is absolutely, they need bodies, they need competition, they need depth. Last year, I think the biggest question, Craig, was if these are the best five, what does that say about the next 3 or 4 guys? And if this is even just a move to help the next 3 or 4, I think that's a good move.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. They need bodies, obviously. That's a pro football focused stat you threw out there. And, I mean, who knows how accurate those really are. I mean, I know those guys work with numbers for a living, but, what was it based upon, things like that. So, I mean, it's good to be mentioned. It's better to be mentioned than in the bottom 3 of, offensive linemen or offensive guards last year. But don't know much about him yet outside of a couple things that you just mentioned. I'm leery on just transfers in general as quick solutions because we saw that last year, and it had little to no effect whatsoever on the entire team. So, with offensive line, it's just pray that they're good. I mean, basically, and look, they had to add somebody, and they'll probably add more. They'll probably add at least 1 more, if not 2 more, to the offensive line when all is said and done because they have needs there. And I guess it's if anything, it's just good that they have been able to bring on a new addition, and good that they're finding bodies. So hopefully it works out, for them moving forward. But, yeah, welcome Jacob Gall to the Baylor football team.
By the way, Baylor also today announced the athletic department. Mack Rhoades will join us at 4:20. 100% capacity, outdoor events, including that means football, baseball, softball. Of course, baseball's wrapping up the regular season. Softball doesn't have any more home games. But 100% capacity. Mack had been leaning towards 75% with the hopes of 100% the last time we spoke with him on Tuesday. He'll join us today at 4:20 to kind of explain all that, and we're seeing more and more of that, and of course the state of Texas leads the way.
And that was just when you asked him about football. You didn't ask him about anything else for the rest of the year, which is not very long, when it comes to everything else. So the rest of this year, and then of course next year with football, like I say next year, this coming season with football. When you see the Astros and Rangers do it, and you've seen outdoor concerts and boxing matches and all this stuff, it's probably time for him to pull the trigger as well.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, that's the way we're going. So, here we are, and 100% capacity. I think it's great news. It's not surprising news. Mack's been alluding to this for a while now. And, glad that it's happening. Glad that we're going to be getting back to people with butts and seats. And, for those that don't want to be a part of it, So what? For those that do want to pack the stadium, welcome. And I'm glad that that announcement was made today. It's great news, and definitely not taking it for granted, given what the last year's been like.
We are all over various parts of what we do on the app, SicEm365 app. We'd love for you to download that. It's free. We're also on YouTube. You want to watch and or listen, you can do that. Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, all of the above. And by the way, SicEm365.com, which is the mothership, the umbrella of everything that we do. Our guest lineup, let's go backwards. John McClain, Hall of Fame writer with the Houston Chronicle, will join us at the end of the 5 o'clock hour. We have David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com at 5. You can look back at the rookie minicamp. And Julia Morales, one of the great person who analyzes analysts for the Astros. She'll join us at 5:20. 4 o'clock hour, maybe Jacob Gall, probably working on that as far as timing of what he's doing. Mack at 4:20. Craig's off the radar at 4:45. And then in the 3 o'clock hour, Grayson in just a moment. We'll also have Stephen Mackey, 2 words, character development. He's a guest speaker at an Academic All-Stars banquet tomorrow night. And Jeff Hume of Midway Football. They have their spring game coming up, of course, this week, and Jeff Hume will join us from Midway Football as well. Number on the text line is open at 254-339-1122. I saw Scotty on the YouTube. He popped on and goes, I would love to get another transfer at offensive line because Baylor football needs everyone they can get at that position, which is what Craig mentioned. And I like that you're honest about the fact that you're leery about transfers. Last year, remember, we never really saw much, really, of William Bradley King, who was a dynamic player. He's in the NFL. At least he's on an NFL roster. But the offensive lineman from UCLA, we've seen
Jake
guys
Burton.
We've seen guys come in, and it just hasn't worked. Maybe the Mateos and Grimes combination helps that a little bit because obviously they do need numbers and they also need talent.
Well, grad transfers have to start. If grad transfers don't start, what are they coming for?
I agree. I absolutely agree about that without question at all. Meanwhile, speaking of that, the Baylor women's basketball team, we know that Hannah Guster's left for LSU. It's been about a week. The former Irving MacArthur 5-star center. Also, both the Carrs. Well, one, for sure, officially, Kristlyn Carr, who came in. Remember, we had her on from Texas Tech to Baylor. She's headed to Syracuse. And in the backstory to that, Christiana Carr, who was at Kansas State, who had agreed to transfer to Baylor. I just could never get confirmation where I needed it, although I spoke to her high school coach. This is about the time things started to pick up with the Kim Mulkey story. She's already at Syracuse as well.
By the way, Jacob Gall will be on with us at 4 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. Great stuff, Paul. Good stuff with that. So they lose Kristlyn Carr, who's a part of the roster, and Christiana Carr would have been a part of on it. She was coming to play for Baylor. They're both now at Syracuse, and Nikki Collin. Obviously, Tari Cummings and others, Sophia Young, Malcolm, others, and whoever else is added to the staff, they've got work to do because the roster's now been trimmed a little bit, at least by 4. Carr, Dowda, and Gusters. And so they've got work to do, but they knew that when they accepted the job. So that's the story when it comes to women's basketball. Did you guys see the story about the men? They're going to be in, is it the Bahamas? The Bahamas. Basketball tournament during Thanksgiving. Arizona State, who just lost their guard to Kansas.
Or the NBA, but that's his choices.
Yeah. Auburn, Baylor, Connecticut, Loyola, Chicago, Michigan State, Syracuse, and Virginia Commonwealth. Pretty darn good. That's November 24th through the 26th.
So, hold on. Let's see. Baylor's won a title.
Connecticut's won 2.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 or 3.
Michigan State's won 2.
Syracuse has won at least 2. One or 2?
Yeah.
Virginia Commonwealth, they had the run at Shaka, but they're still a basketball school. Auburn, on the edge of one, but haven't. And Arizona State, that I know of, has not. And Loyola Chicago, of course, has been now a team. They lost their coach, right? Mm-hmm. At Moser, who's now
Baylor gets to see him
at Oklahoma, so they get to see a little bit of that. Men's quarterfinal tennis, Baylor in 7th ranked TCU. Baylor number 1 in the country, play tomorrow night, 1 o'clock in the quarterfinal round. That, of course, is going on down in Florida. And we had yesterday Stokoviak, who joined us on the show about their win 4-1 against Ole Miss. Jamison Houston, former Baylor corner, is headed to Jacksonville. No, to Jacksonville. Josiah Scott from the Eagles traded to Jacksonville for Jamison Houston, the former Baylor defensive back, and a 2023 sixth-round pick. That's down the road, isn't it?
I mean, not really. It's like 2 years from now. So, I mean, maybe a little bit, but we just wrapped up the 2021 draft. So, yeah, 2022 is next, and then 2023. Not much in exchange there. Don't even know if Jamison will make the roster. Maybe he's a practice squad guy. Maybe he makes the roster. I don't know. But, he's in Jacksonville now. So, get to play for Urban Meyer for at least a little while and hopefully for a lot longer than just a little while.
So Jacob Gall at 4 o'clock. The new Baylor offensive lineman will join us, the young man who's transferring in from Buffalo. Paul, we want to break here, then come back with Grayson? Yeah. You want to get to Grayson?
Yeah, I'll call him. We'll call him. Do you want me to call him right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get him on. I think he's ready right now, and we'll get him to kind of break down Jacob Gall. He and Colt were all over it. And they also helped us get to Jacob as well to have him on the show today at 4 o'clock. That Baylor 100% capacity, Mack Rhoades will join us on that. We'll ask him about what is the latest when it comes to the NCAA. Have they heard anything new on that timeline, plus other stuff in between that we will get to as well. We're now joined by Grayson Grudhafer, SicEm365.com. He and Craig do the Bearcast each week. It goes for an hour plus on many things Baylor. And Grayson, Jacob's going to join us at 4. Paul just confirmed that. Tell us about Jacob Gall from Buffalo.
Yeah, guys. So this is a big pickup, and it's really interesting because all along this process, we had talked about one of the Buffalo offensive linemen, Mike Nowitzki, a whole lot. But Jacob Gall was a guy who entered the portal 11 days ago. A lot of the guys from Buffalo have entered the portal. Of course, Lance Leopold going to Kansas is a big reason why. So Jacob, 6'2", 305 pounds. He made his decision to enter the portal less than 2 weeks ago. I believe it was 10 days ago exactly. But yeah, I mean, a very good player, a guy who started every game at left guard this past season. He's appeared in 33 career games throughout his time there, 13 career starts. But last year was his really big statement year. Started all 7 games. According to Pro Football Focus, he was the highest rated left guard in the entire nation with a grade of 90.5. So clearly he was very, very good when he was on the field last year. It's also kind of tough, though, because Buffalo as a unit was extremely good last season. They scored over 43 points per game and ran for 287 yards on the ground each game and only gave up 1 sack. So as a unit, they were very good. Jacob was a key cog in that. And obviously he's going to be a grad transfer, so he'll be immediately eligible for Baylor this upcoming season. And he'll have 2 years of eligibility thanks to the COVID year last season.
Grayson, just taking the assumption or the belief that Smokey and I believe Craig and we have that if you're a grad transfer, you should start. Otherwise, why did the school go out and get you as a grad transfer? So who is the 5 right now for you in your mind, adding Jacob Gall in there?
Okay, so yeah, I agree with you, first of all, on that. Jacob Gall is not coming to Baylor to be the backup. He's coming to Baylor because he believes there's a great opportunity for him to start. I have him at left guard. I think that's probably where he's going to fit in. I got Connor Galvin at left tackle. I do think at the end of the day, Grant Miller, the Vanderbilt transfer, will be the starter at center. I'm going to come back to right guard in a minute. But at right tackle, as of right now, it's Gavin Byers. But I do think there could be some more movement for Baylor in the portal. Maybe they try to get a right tackle, which is a position that I believe they need. But again, it's very, very tough to go out and get a tackle at this time. And then at right guard, I mean, guys, this is you could put a bunch of names in a hat right now and pull one out. I was not impressed with what I saw from Xavier Newman this spring. I really hope he can rebound. But if not, I actually think a guy who might have an outside chance to get the starting job there is Giancarlo Valentin. I think that he had a nice spring, and he didn't play in the spring game, so no one got to see him. But I think there's a chance that he is actually the starter at right guard when the season starts.
Grayson, any chance they take more than one offensive lineman? I mean, like they're going to take another one beyond Jacob Gall, but any chance they take more than one beyond Jacob Gall?
So I do think, like you said, I would be shocked if they didn't take another one. And as for 2, that's going to come down to, honestly, who enters the portal and when they do it. I think Baylor would like to take 2 more. Also, the other factor is JUCO recruiting as well. Do they decide to take one more grad transfer, hopefully at tackle, and then add a JUCO as the 3rd edition? I think that could be very likely as well. So, yeah, I mean, if I had to guess right now, I would say very, very likely they take one more, and I would say it's probably likely that they take a 3rd.
How deep can you go before it's too late? I know if there's somebody that can help you, you go until you even start workouts in August. But how deep do you kind of get the feeling, talking to those you talk to, about how much before they need to kind of know where they are?
Yeah, I mean, the hope would be that everyone makes a decision before June happens, before summer 1 for school, and before those off-season workouts begin. But I will also say, like you just mentioned, I don't know that there is going to be a timeline if Baylor does not address every position they need to, where they say, okay, we can't take another guy. I don't see it with what we saw on the offensive line this spring and kind of what we've seen over the last few years. I just think there's guys that need more time, and I think that if you can go add talent, you have to go do it. So I don't know that there's a strict deadline, but I will say I think they would like to have it all wrapped up by the end of May.
Grayson, I mean, if you look around, I mean, you're not going to sneeze at anybody or turn anybody down in the transfer market if they're going to help your team, but is the focus really in that only on the offensive line? Because if you look at the defense, they've got depth there pretty much everywhere. Skill positions on offense appear to have depth. They've got 4 quarterbacks for crying out loud. They're going to battle it out. So would it really only be the offensive line that's the focus of the transfer market?
It's not the only position. There's definitely one position that people have talked about, but I've talked about it, but I'm not sure people realize how, I guess, serious Baylor is about it. But I think they would like to add another interior defensive lineman. Obviously, they feel really good about Apu Aika there at the nose tackle. But if you move on from him, as far as the depth chart goes, they don't really have anyone who is even similar to him body type wise. And I know he's tough to find, but still a guy who can actually fill in at that nose tackle position. I think that's an area where they would definitely like to look and potentially add a prospect. I will say that is probably the only other position where I would say I've heard they have a need and a want to add there. Everywhere else would just be kind of a best available type if they feel like they have room. But offensive line, interior defensive line, those are the 2 areas to look at. With the addition of Jacob Gall, I really feel like you can – I'm not saying they're only going to focus on tackle, but they still that's the glaring need is right tackle, in my opinion, to get a more veteran face on the offensive line so that they can show, hopefully tremendous amounts of improvement going into next season.
Grayson, Zach Pyron, we talked about this on the Bearcast a little earlier, but made some waves at the Elite 11 competition this past weekend. For those who may have missed our earlier conversation, your thoughts on Zach Pyron and him making a few waves?
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of seeing why Baylor wanted to take a quarterback in this 2022 class, and also why they took a guy who was kind of out of nowhere, to be honest. I mean, they went into Alabama, found the guy they wanted. This is he was a Sean Bell recruit from day one. He was the guy that he wanted. Obviously, once you got through the top 3 in the state, Quinn Ewers, Cade Klubnik, and of course, Connor Weidman, there just really wasn't anyone in the state who stood out to this coaching staff, or else I believe they would have taken a Texas prospect, but there really wasn't that. And so they had to do more of a national search. Sean Bell found his guy in Zach Pyron, a very underrated kid out of Alabama who all he has done in his career is win 3 straight state championships, moved from a smaller 2A school after his sophomore year, won another state championship at the biggest classification in Alabama at Pinson Valley. And so now he's looking for the clean sweep to win 4 straight state championships. But he had a great camp. Everyone was talking about him as possibly being the closest thing to Ty Simpson at the camp. For those who don't know, Ty Simpson's committed to Alabama. consensus pretty much top, 2 quarterback in the entire class. So very, very good player there. Tyron really challenged him on Sunday at the Elite 11 Regional. And now, I'm really curious, is he going to get the Elite 11 invite? I think after this camp he should. And if he can go compete in the Elite 11 finals, that would be massive. And he would join the long list of Jacob Zeno, Gary Bohannon, and Kyron Drones to receive that honor.
Well, Grayson, we did not have you scheduled for today, but with Jacob Gall committing the transfer from Buffalo, obviously we appreciate you jumping on. We'll have you hopefully on Friday as well. And also Zach Byron will join us on Friday. He has a spring game. Is that right, Grayson? Did he have a spring game Thursday night?
That sounds about right. You were the one that reported that one first, but I do know y'all got an interesting nugget that he told me this week that he will be early enrolling. So I don't know about the spring game, but he will be early enrolling. So definitely some big questions there and a huge answer for this Baylor coaching staff to get him in early.
Yeah, he was going to be on today. He said, I got practice all the way through Wednesday. I got the game Thursday evening, so perhaps that's a spring game for Pinson Valley, and then he'll join us, of course, Grayson, all over everything, and also with the Bearcast with Craig as well. Full hour plus of information that is just soaking with Baylor. Thank you, Grayson. Appreciate you jumping on with us again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Grayson Grudhay for SicEm365.com, recruiting analyst with us, and we appreciate his time. Break here, Paul. Come back. We'll hear from Stephen Mackey. He's a guest speaker at tomorrow night's Academic All-Stars Banquet. But Stephen Mackey, he also speaks all over the state. He's become a huge hit. And one of the things that he also does is that when I was looking for somebody 2 or 3 years ago to be a guest speaker, I sent an email out to all of these high school coaches, and his name was the most mentioned. He's next. Then at 3:45, Midway's Jeff Hume. 4 o'clock, Jacob Gall. Mack Rhoades on 100% capacity at Baylor and more. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Look, being a homeowner can be a stressful thing. Like some days you can find out that you have to spend $460 on a new toilet. And you think, why do I live in this house as much as I like it? Can I find one with new stuff in it? Who do I call to do that? Do I need a good realtor? Yes, you do. You should call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713. Lance is a local realtor with a very unique perspective, and you'll know that about him as soon as you meet him. He's gonna learn everything about you in about 10 questions. He's that kind of guy where he's just fascinated to know about every person that he comes in contact with, every person he has friendships with, every person he has relationships with. That's what he does. So he's going to help you find that dream home. And he's going to help you ask the right questions like, hey, will this toilet, bomb out of me in 3.5 years? Well, are there tree roots under the house? Is there a vent hood? All these things that you should ask. And maybe you're so enthusiastic about buying a home that you don't. And then leave yourself wondering, when should I buy a new one? Well, if you have those questions, or if you're selling a home, he's going to get you a great deal on that. Check out his website, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com, or just Google Lance Donaldson eXp Realty. It'll take you right to him. Or give him a call, 254-214-3713.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Alan Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for the new Jeep Cherokee Latitude or Lux with up to $5,000 in values or 0% for 84 months. Wow, the new Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus or Lux up to $5,000 in values or 0% for 84 months going on now. Jeep, a great SUV. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer. The best place to get your next Jeep SUV. Located 201 West Loop 340. Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille
Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, tomorrow night we honor 20 student athletes with the 11th Annual Academic All-Stars Banquet at the Baylor Club, and our guest speaker is Stephen Mackey, who was going to be our guest speaker, keynote speaker last year. But then, of course, COVID, and so he sent a virtual video to those who made it. He'll be live with us tomorrow at the Baylor Club. And I've told this story, I'll say it again. About 3 years ago, I was looking for a speaker. And I sent an email to all the high school coaches, about 250 of them, that I could just like that, they get it. And Stephen Mackey's name was the one that I heard about and about the most. And Stephen Mackey joins us. Stephen Mackey, MackeySpeaks.com on SicEm365 Radio. How you been?
Hey, brother. Glad to be here with you, man. How are you?
Doing great. Paul, Catalina, Craig, and David Smoak, SicEm365 Radio. So what is it? What did you do that has now put you on the radar with the high school coaches? Is it what you do to talk to athletes or talk to coaches or both about being future leaders?
Man, every day, Dave, we got to wake up and we ask one question. What can we do today to help athletes and coaches reach their goals and dreams tomorrow? It's the one simple question I ask every day. And it's amazing what happens when you focus on one thing with all that you have every day. And on January 12th, 2017, that was the question that I believe the Lord gave me. I mean, what do you got to do to help athletes and coaches? And we've just been going after that every day. And so we've helped them by making some curriculum. We come and we speak. And I was down at Katie Tompkins yesterday, down at Brazos Wallet, north of west of Houston. Down there because they asked us, hey, we need a speaker. So I came up with a speaker. When COVID hit, just like we did for the banquet last year, they said, hey, we need some Zoom calls. Did 60 Zoom calls in 10 weeks because that's what coaches needed. It's a matter of going and serving people. It's amazing, man. When you do right by people, good things happen to you. And we've been serving, and coaches have been honoring us for that. And it's been a great privilege.
How often do you have to morph the message based on who you're talking to? I know the message is usually pretty similar. Most people go through the same kind of things, but how often do you morph your message based on who you might be talking to?
Yeah, I keep the ethos the same, right? The personal code, who I am, is more important than what I do. The servant leadership, the toughness, tough people win, that grit, setting big goals worthy of the talent and the platform that you've been given. I keep that ethos the same. But I'm going to be honest with you, every message is different. I couldn't give the same message twice if you paid me $1 million. Couldn't do it. And so one of the things we'll do is I'll ask coaches before we go and speak. And I'll say, hey, you tell me what would be most beneficial for your kids today. How can I help further what you're already reinforcing, what you're already teaching? I could be the best speaker in the world. Just like anything, you take a great shower and come tomorrow, you got to take another one. I could be the best speaker today, but you know what? Life's going to happen. And so the message will fade. And so I want to reinforce what coaches are doing. So it changes with every speech that I give, even though I keep the ethos the same.
You know, we had Mark Vidal on a couple of weeks ago, Baylor National Championship, fifth-year senior, and he was the first one in his family to receive a degree. He got it at Baylor, a couple of weekends ago. Were you a first-generation college graduate yourself? I know you went to A&M.
That's correct.
What did that mean, and what drove you to do that?
Man, I appreciate you asking. Yes, I am a first-generation college graduate, first to get that bachelor's, first to get a master's, and now over COVID, I started working on my doctorate, so I'll be the first to do that as well. It's very meaningful to me to be able to kind of set a new tempo, a new direction for my family. But I'll tell you what drove it was my grandparents. They chose to raise me. They chose to invest in me and raise me as their own when they didn't have to. Born to a teenage mother, mom, 15, 16 years old, white, father, older black man. And they didn't have to do that. And they chose to invest in me when there was no clear return on investment. At every step in my life, there's been teachers, there's been coaches, counselors who have invested in me when they didn't have to. And there was a sense of, I need to pay that back, but I also need to pay it forward. But I need to recognize that, right, with those who have been given much, much is required. And so that drives the work that we're doing with athletes. Coaches impacted my life as much as anyone. And so I want to help coaches help impact their kids the way I want. I want to pay back and I want to pay it forward.
I've said this before about some people, but I hear the way you talk about coaches. There are people, a lot, especially in our profession, the title coach is almost like doctor, isn't it? If you're going to take on that, especially at the youth level.
Absolutely, because there's a sense that it doesn't matter why coach said, but coach said it, and so that's good enough, right? There's a weight, and for me, there's a reverence to that title. Coaches spend more time with someone else's kid than they do with their own. You know, they wear so many different hats. They're not just doing the X's and O's. Anybody who thinks that coaches just coach plays has no idea what they're talking about. Coaches are putting on a counseling hat. They're putting on a relationship, mender hat, right? Yeah, I know these kids are young, but puppy love still feels like love to a puppy. Offensive lineman gets his first girlfriend and she breaks up with him the next week. That's going to be a big deal to him. So he's dealing with relationships. Sometimes they're father figures. Sometimes they're mother figures. Sometimes they're teaching them how to be husbands or wives. They're teaching them how to set goals. They're teaching them how to study, how to believe in themselves and set goals bigger than anyone else in their family has ever reached. They do so much more. Oh, and on top of that, in the state of Texas, they got to teach in the classroom. And so they do so much. I don't know that there's a more important profession in all of our country than that of coaches. And so, yes, coaches hold a very special place in my heart, and I want to honor them in the way that I work, and the way I talk about it.
Mackey Speaks, again, is the website. Stephen Mackey, professional speaker, motivator, and has been now, he's kind of a rock star when it comes to it. He won't admit that, but a rock star when it comes to having a chance to get in front of coaches and athletes and much, much more. 2 words, character development. Explain what that is.
Yes, sir. That is the main way that we serve coaches day in and day out. It's a weekly character development curriculum, which I'm able to share the character trait of the week defined and described by 2 words every week virtually. 7 to 10-minute video. And it's 1 part teaching. It's 1 part challenging, probing question. And it's another part Friday night. Get fired up before you step out onto the field or onto the court ready to go. We do it in 2 words because we want there to be a mnemonic or a suitcase is what we call it. That they can put all that they're learning and talking about in that suitcase of those 2 words. We were to talk about sacrifice. We'd say sacrifice required. If they think about the sacrifice in the weight room or sacrificing hanging out with friends to study or making the right choices, having integrity on the weekend instead of hanging out with stupid people and doing stupid things, being all in and sacrificing for their teammates. They think about all of that. They can put it in that suitcase. Sacrifice required. A coach can call it out in the hallways. They're heading into chemistry. Sacrifice required, the same as it is in the weight room. And so we create lessons every year for athletes from 6th grade to 12th grade. Man, you'll love this. We had coaches ask us, said, man, this is awesome, but what about our elementary school kids? And so over COVID, we've spent time writing an elementary school curriculum that's going to launch this fall. And so we'll be coaching up 3rd through 5th grade PE athletes and PE students and helping them connect the dots between sports and life and helping them see that there's so much more to athletics than just X's and O's and points on a board. But it's through athletics that you learn the long shelf life skill sets that'll help you be successful long after you quit playing sports.
Stephen, you avoided being a statistic. Sometimes that doesn't work. How many people now have watched what you've done, how successful you've become, and you obviously have many more goals to do. How much has that rubbed off on others you knew when you were younger?
You know what, man, it's really fun to get to hang out with my friends that I grew up. I think about my buddy Jacob. You know, we met riding bikes around Bonham Park, chasing down the ice cream man. He lived on one side of the park. I lived on another. And we intersected and said, hey, have you seen the ice cream man? And we said, no, but we've been friends ever since. And we were aligned. Let's put it that way. And you know, but to see, you know, the impact that I've been able to have and the influence to have on people who are my friends, but I would say have influenced me, it's very humbling. And it's also humbling to know that even with all that's gone, not everybody makes the right choices. That there's a sense of I can be grateful and humble about all that has been given to me and invested in me, but I can also be proud of the choices that I've made and the work ethic that I live by and the ethos that I live by, and know and that drives me because I know that none of us are further than one dumb decision from the worst day of our lives, the stupidest thing we've ever done. And so that drives me to keep going, to go, you know, no one is exempt from stupid. And so we got to keep foot to pedal, not just for myself, but for others.
Who learned to turn their cap around backwards first, Tony Romo or Stephen Mackey?
Well, you know what? I think the way it's going to play out is you got to say it's Tony because he's the man. Although I will say I've been rocking the backwards hat for quite a while.
Stephen, look forward to tomorrow night with you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Again, it's at Mackey Speaks. Go ahead. Anything else?
Oh, man, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for all that you're doing for student athletes, for staying faithful to support and honor these kids. It's going to be great to celebrate them and their families and their hard work after a year like this. To get to celebrate them tomorrow night is going to be a truly special thing. So thanks for who you are.
Thank you. That's Stephen Mackey at Mackey, www.mackeyspeaks.com. He's got all of his bio, how you can contact him. If you're looking for somebody to get the focus or to get the attention of a group, whether it's for 30 people or for 300 or more, Stephen Mackey's talked to colleges all over the country, high schools, of course, he's all over the state of Texas, and tomorrow night at the Academic All-Stars Banquet. When we come back, speaking of high school, Jeff Hume at Midway coming off what was a really difficult 2020 year. They missed the playoffs for the first time in, 15 or 17 years. They are trying to find who their quarterback is. They've got some questions, but they also have some answers. And last time we did Midway football a couple of years ago, a couple of youngins, a couple of young kids that are now young men that are now seniors, including Jacoby Haverly, among others, and what they've done to grow up. They're in that district from hell. Jeff Hume of Midway is next on SicEm365 Radio.
Travel is back, and so are the savings. The Memorial Day savings event at Richard Carr Motors. Get back on the road with the sophistication and luxury of Buick. Richard Carr is loaded with Buick SUVs, all priced to move. You can save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encores or $4,500 on Encore GXs. You can also save $3,900 on midsize Buick Envisions. And, of course, there's also the space, luxury, and affordability of the Buick Enclave, a.k.a. the perfect family travel vehicle. 3 rows of first-class seating, a smooth, quiet ride. Right now, save $8,500 on all 2021 Buick Enclaves in stock. And Richard Carr also has premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move during the Memorial Day savings event with multiple cars priced under $200 a month for qualified buyers. Richard Carr Motors is your local Waco family dealer. They take pride in serving their neighbors, and they want to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes, and superior service after the sale. So drop by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's the Memorial Day savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
All right. We are the proud home of both Midway and Connolly football on SicEm365 Radio. Midway football coming off a rough year. First time in a while that they did not make the playoffs. They're in the district from hell. They know that. And they knew that when the realignment happened about a year ago or so. We're joined by Midway football coach Jeff Hume. Jeff, what did you learn about yourself last year?
Well, I learned that I don't like not making the playoffs. I know that. It's just a bad feeling you get in your gut, and you don't like it. But like you said, you learn you learn how to persevere a little bit. You learn how to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and go back to work, and that's what we did each and every week. I mean, the senior class we had, a great young men, and they did that each and every week. They persevered, they buckled up, they got back at it, and I mean, Dave, we didn't have a bad practice all year. I mean, we didn't have bad attitude. We didn't have any of that. I mean, the kids came ready to go to work. We just couldn't get it done on Friday night. But working with those kids, I loved them. I loved each and every one of them.
How much of it was the schedule and the district you threw, you got thrown into, and how much of it was the fact that COVID completely disrupted everything you were doing?
Yeah, it was just, what you call that perfect storm. And, the district obviously was going to be a booger no matter how the spring or summer went. And then you throw everything else into that. And it just made it that much harder. And you missed that time together to build that team, camaraderie from not necessarily the senior class, but the younger kids. Who's going to be those guys coming up from the younger class to help the varsity and this and that. We just didn't get a chance to do that. And so, when you throw all that together and you just, had a little trouble getting it done on Friday night, it just makes it hard.
How different has this spring been from the craziness of last spring?
Well, I mean, just this year, getting back to a type of normalcy, and having a full off season, having a full number of days of spring ball, trying to figure out what I just said, having these practices to figure out who's going to be those younger kids up there. And we've been able to do that. We've had a full, 16, 17 practices, and we're going to finish it tomorrow night at 6 with our spring game. And it ought to be a good start to the summer.
All right, so at the quarterback position, and this is where you were spoiled, and so was Midway for a long, long time. You have a three-way battle right now with, in fact, Sam Battle, Robert Goodman, and also the junior in Tedford. Where are you with that, and do you feel like you'll know after tomorrow night?
All three of those young men have their strengths and weaknesses. Sam he's a returning varsity player for us. He's a senior. Goodman was a junior on the JV, and Tedford was a sophomore on the JV. And so, all those three things, they all, like I said, they all three do different things. They're all built differently, physically, all that. And I think we've had some moments in the spring where we were like, okay, that young man's pulling ahead, and then, inconsistency would maybe bring him down a little bit. Somebody else would jump ahead. And I don't know if it's going to be completely decided tomorrow night. I think we'll have a pretty good idea of what we think. But then you guys know how much summer has changed nowadays with 7-on-7 and the strength and conditioning. And summer will be a big time for all three of those guys.
Your offensive line was always very consistent during your good runs. I know that you had kind of a clear out where you had like all these guys graduated kind of at once. How has that built back up over this last year or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's we've got a young man at center coming back, Blake Keith, that started last year for us. So it's always good to have that returner back in the middle, just sort of because he's like the leader of the offensive line and he does a great job. Real looking forward to Blake and what kind of senior he's going to have. And we've moved some people around. We've moved a defensive lineman to offensive line, and a kid named Myron Betters, and he's a monster. He's 6'4.5", about 330, and he can really move some people out of the way. It's just going to be a matter of getting him comfortable in the offensive line. But he's got a very tough defensive minded personality, so I think he'll be fine. And the other kid, John Barker, the other guard, he played last year for us on the varsity offensive line, so. We've got some good caliber type kids. Ashton Solis, he was a varsity returner for us. So, I think we're going to be okay.
Coach, a couple years ago when we last covered you, being on the sidelines and whatnot, Jacoby Haverly was somebody that definitely popped out as a bright young player. Obviously didn't get to watch him much last year, but kind of where is he in his development? What's his upside still?
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby's had a tremendous offseason. His strength is out of this world right now. He's running sideline to sideline. It's been great to have him, and just all these kids. But off season wise, you can really tell the difference in the type of shape he's in this time compared to last year. I mean, his running is really tremendous, and you see it. And I mean, that's why he's playing middle linebacker, because he goes sideline to sideline. So I mean, he's definitely the leader of that defense in all categories, physically, emotionally, and he's going to have a great year for us.
Midway football coach Jeff Hume with us on SicEm365 Radio. Demir McDonough, he's someone we saw a glimpse of a couple of years ago. His maturity level and where he is, and is he ready now to take control? I know Dominique Hill's a part of that mix and a couple of others, but how much has he grown up?
I mean, he's very similar to Jacoby. I mean, just the steps, the giant steps he's taken off season wise has been a big help for him. He's got some good Division I offers out there. And he's a workhorse. He's what I would call a power back. You know, he's more of a James Fulbright runner, and Dominique Hill's probably more of a Will Nixon type runner. If y'all remember those, and so I think we've got a pretty good thunder lightning combination with those two guys, and it'll be fun to watch them.
Brock Walker takes over as offensive coordinator for you. Brad Boyd on his way to Burke Burnett High as the head coach. How do you do you expect changes in the offense? Do they have similar mindsets? You're a head coach that lets the offensive coordinator, you let the reins off and let him go.
I do, and and you can do that when you bring in people that you trust and know, and obviously with us, when Brock's been here the whole time with us, and before he came here he'd been offensive coordinator, and he was up in McKinney as offensive coordinator, LD Bell, worked at Highland Park, and so turning over to him was not really a big thing I had to think about. It was an easy decision, but he's going to put some changes in there. We've already done a couple of changes this spring, and one of those, I don't mind saying it, I mean, we're going to have both those backs in the backfield. We're going to have Dominique and Demir back there together a lot, and we're going to be one of those things. Hey, which one you going to take away, type of thing, but Brock's the kind of guy that I really like. And how he teaches the game, how he gets across to the players, and the kids respond to him. And so it's been a fun spring, no doubt, with him.
All right, you want to throw a wrench in the machine for everybody else? Take a snap from under center.
Well, I'm still trying to talk him into that. And I know people say, well, you're the head coach, make them do that, blah, blah, blah. I am, but I mean, the same token, I trust him. And, you never know. I mean, it may be game 4, we get under center, and people go, whoa, what are we doing here? So that you never know. That could come.
All right. This is a true serum, and you know it, and anyone else knows it as well. You're in a district that has 3, and Midway has been a part of the elite, and you guys have played for state championships, and you've beaten some of those schools that are also known as Alpha Dogs. You were part of that, but DeSoto, Cedar Hill, and Duncanville are in your district. So it, to me, is simple. You have to beat Waxahachie, Mansfield, Waco High, and Lake Ridge, right?
That's right.
It's simple math. It doesn't mean that you can't maybe get to a point where you have a team that pulls off what would be an upset. That's just true serum.
Right,
but
that's right.
You have to beat those 4.
That's right. I mean, and that's exactly right. That's what it comes down to. And we lost to Waxahachie last year by 3. We lost to Mansfield by, I think, 3 or 4. And so, and it's like I told the kids, 6 points kept us out of the playoffs last year. And, you look at it that way, you sit there and go, we were that close, but we didn't take care of business. We were on the road at both of those places. So hopefully being at home in Panther Stadium with our crowd will give us those 6 points we need to take care of business and get back in the playoffs where we need to be.
All right, what time does everything start tomorrow?
We will, weather permitting, obviously, with this crazy week. But if it looks like today, we're going to crank it up at 6 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thank you a lot, Jeff. Appreciate you. Jeff Hume, Midway football coach with us. Their spring game is tomorrow night at Panther Stadium. A couple of notes. He mentioned James Fulbright III. I received the note from his father. He's in the spring game at Houston. The opening, the running back position is pretty wide open because of graduates, transfers, and whatever else, eligibility. He tore his ACL. He's been busting his you-know-what to get himself back in position to be able to play. Tore his ACL in the University of Houston spring game. He was on this, like the same weekend or the next day, whatever it was, someone broke into his car and took all of his highlights of when he was at Midway that we had produced for him, because of highlights and the requests from the parents.
I'm sure we can just call the folks over there and get those get those all back.
That won't
real
be
quick.
hard. But I have a huge file of highlights that I'm going to try to see if I can get that to James. But that sucks, man. You're trying to finally get an opportunity to play. And James said to me, I'd love to have been able to play that game at Baylor. He goes, and I'm not quoting him on anything Coach Holgerson said by any means, but he goes, they eventually had their season wrecked by COVID as well.
Yeah, I've seen James around town on occasion. He usually comes back quite a bit, and always just one of the nicest young men I've ever met. Like, he's in my Hall of Fame for guys that I've covered, for sure. Tremendous football player. His Houston thing, working out for him was awesome, but just that sucks, like you said. And, even more so than just the injuries, I mean, those just happen. But for the scumbag who broke into his car, you're a piece of S, and you're the worst kind of human being. Anybody who breaks into people's stuff and steals. I mean, anybody who steals anything or breaks into people's cars, you're scum. Karma's coming your way, and that's just, I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
I'll tell you what I remember about James the most is not how good he was on the field. He was the best teammate you could ever ask for. I mean, he was absolutely, he had to watch them transition from an elite quarterback to a guy who was very much a high school quarterback.
Yep.
And I don't know if they get to where they got in that season, if not for James Fulbright telling, was Nick, right? Nick Jimenez, every day, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I think that was a huge key to their season, was James just constantly telling him, you'll get the hang of it. You'll be fine.
Yep. And so he tore his ACL, thinking about James Fulbright III. And also today we continue to think about Felder, the family, and University High, the football team, for the loss of their teammate over the weekend in that apartment, gun violence at the apartment complex in Waco.
Man, I know the odds are slim, but if anybody has any kind of clue about what happened in that situation, I know Waco police are trying to figure it out. They had put out a tweet yesterday about, or maybe it was one of the local news organizations that, police didn't really have a whole lot to work with, I guess, at least at that time, and they were searching for clues and things like that. So, I know it's a long shot, but if anybody has any idea or happens to hear something involving that tragedy, then absolutely pass it along to the right people. It's just, speaking of scum and pieces of crap, well, there's another one right there.
When we come back, he's the latest addition to Dave Aranda and the football team at Baylor. Jacob Gall from Buffalo, another toy for Eric Mateos in the offensive line, as he needs a bunch of them. And also Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator. Jacob Gall from Buffalo. He's next. Mack Rhoades at 420 at 100% capacity for Baylor going forward. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans was there the other day. Got a chance to say hi to Ashley. Did not see Carol, but I saw Cheyenne, and she's a part of that staff as well. And also the 48-foot walk-in humidor with every brand of great cigar. Not good cigar, great cigar you could imagine. Macanudo, Ashton, Romeo and Julieta, Arturo Fuente, and one of my favorites, Rocky Patel as well. And those are just some. Cohiba, Padron, big boy names, alpha dog names in the cigar business. And on top of that, when I was there, Cheyenne was grinding some coffee beans for a customer who was there. They got one that's called the Cowboy that's very popular. And so they were grinding a bag of coffee beans as well. Plus the accessories you need when it comes to cigars. Somewhere to put them, a humidor that could maybe fill 50 or 60 or 100 cigars in there if you wanted to. They got huge humidors, or some that's a travel case. It's kind of a Pelican case that you take on with a road trip. Plus torch lighters. They have the bags to keep the cigars moist, those humidor bags. And on top of that, of course, not only the torch lighters, but the cutters. And then there's CBD products that allow you to help yourself maybe fall asleep a little bit easier and faster with Vita Dreams. Don Shuador and Coffee Beans with Carol and Ashley and Cheyenne in the Town West Shopping Center off of Valley Mills in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rhoades Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rhoades group meal.
Next in line.
Pay over qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings of the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encore. Drive off in the affordable luxury of a Buick Encore for as little as $258 a month. Or vacation in the spacious comfort of a 3-row Buick Enclave and save $8,500. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's the Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or
254-776-1543. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Floater will go for T. Good.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
One of the things I looked at with Jacob Gall, who committed and transferring from Buffalo to Baylor, is I always like to know where they played high school football, and this is one of those names. Cincinnati Moeller High School. That's where he went, Archbishop Moeller in Cincinnati. That's a place with a great history, and Jacob Gall now is a part of Baylor University of Football. Dave Aranda, Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, Eric Mateos, offensive line coach. Jacob, thanks for your time. How dare you not answer our calls an hour ago because you were selfishly flying back to Buffalo to move?
Oh.
What? You there? Are you there? There you go. Jacob, how could you possibly not answer our calls because you're moving, huh?
I'm sorry, just a bit busy right now.
I know. You could have hung up on me just now just because I asked. No, but what's it like right now, and how this was very quick when your coach left for Kansas, and all of a sudden, how quickly did Baylor get in touch with you?
Probably took 3 days, maybe maximum, for them to really contact me.
What was it about Baylor that drew you here?
I had a couple places that were also looking at me, but the big difference was Baylor had, I think, the best staff that I talked to at my time. Just talking to different coaches, I think Baylor had the most, competent and just the most, I would say, loving, but that's kind of what it was. I mean, they really made me feel a lot more special than these other coaches. These guys really took me in, and they really wanted me. They showed that they wanted me.
So I'd imagine you talked to Coach Mateos, Eric Mateos. Who else did you talk to from the staff?
I guess after my first call with Coach Mateos, I guess my next one was with Coach Rhoades.
Okay. So what was kind of the message from Coach Mateos? What were some of the things he was telling you?
They liked how I play. He likes how I'm passionate about how I play, and that was probably the best thing. And that he really needed a guy that could come in and be passionate on the field and play hard for him and experience and can run his system.
You mentioned the staff, and it was the best staff of all those you looked at as options. How much do you know about what Jeff Grimes and Eric Mateos did at Brigham Young?
So I know BYU was ranked as one of the best offenses, one of the best offensive lines last year at BYU. So that was a big draw for me. So obviously I was keeping up with how they were doing last season. So that was obviously one of the biggest draws for me.
What position do you think that you'll fit into here? Is it? I mean, I know you played left guard last year and played very well.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably center is what I'm thinking Coach wants me at. But I'm a football player. I'm there to play. I'll play whatever position they want me to.
Jacob, how much do you know about the state of Texas? Have you spent much time here? Are you all that familiar with Waco?
No, I can honestly say I'm not. But like I said before, sometimes it's not always about, being somewhere and knowing about a place, but it's more about the people who are there and who are running it. And like I said before, you guys have awesome people down there, and that's kind of why I chose it.
What do you know at all, just about as you're growing up in high school at Archbishop Moeller in Cincinnati, or as you're going to Buffalo, about Baylor football? What was on the top of your mind when it comes to Baylor?
Just Texas football in general. I know it's hard-nosed football, and I know how much all the fans love football down there. So I know that when I was going to choose this university, I was going to have fans that were going to be super passionate about me and about the team in general.
You guys had a pretty good offensive line at Buffalo last year. How much is that experience going to help you step into a line that is this being built right now by Jeff Grimes and Eric Mateos?
Our biggest thing last year was just building up confidence, and once we gained that confidence, no one could really stop us. So that's what I'm hoping to really bring to the team. It's just some confidence, some leadership, and some passion.
Jacob, what is the I know you just made your decision, so not trying to rush you out the door to Waco already, but how does this kind of work for somebody in your position, of making that choice, and then, sort of what happens after that as far as getting your ducks in a row and, making your way down here eventually?
Yeah, so I made a decision a couple days ago. I guess officially got announced today or yesterday, but yeah, just really talking with a lot of academic people, talking with player personnel people, organizing housing, academics, applying for grad school and things like that. So, I got a lot on my plate right now, but I'm ready to get to work.
So if you had to just bring one thing from Buffalo to Baylor, what is other than clothing, obviously, and what you need, some incidentals, is there one specific thing you have that you must bring with you?
That's a tough one. I got to think about something, super personal to me. I love my pillow on my bed. I would never go anywhere without that. How about that?
That's a great answer.
Hey, Jacob, the simple things in life are what make it nice.
Exactly.
Don't overcomplicate it. Yeah.
Is it a special kind of pillow? Is it like a Tempur-Pedic? What makes this pillow stand out?
Is it one that stays cool at night? Yeah.
It's a Tempur-Pedic one.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. You don't mess around with that.
Jacob, you mentioned playing center. What did Eric Mateos say to you about that? Because you played guard, as Paul mentioned and Craig's mentioned, and I'm mentioning now. Did that come up, though, for you to compete at the center position? And you're a transfer. You're not coming in to be a backup and help with the depth. You're coming in because you know you can start. Has that been kind of the conversation as well?
Yeah, that's obviously what we've been talking about and what we want to happen. I got recruited as a center out of high school. I played center in high school, so I was more in my natural position. The only reason I ever played it at Buffalo is because there were injuries that needed to be filled, and I was able to fill that when I was young at Buffalo. So I just kind of stuck there when I got older. So, I mean, I've always been a center, and that's always something I've done at practice. It just happens to be that I played guard these past couple seasons.
So here you are just, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you're Buffalo, and all of a sudden your coach's name starts popping up in a coaching search, and his name is among some other good ones going to Kansas. How strange is life that all of a sudden your football career changes because his does?
Yeah, I mean, it's flipped upside down right about now. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I was in Buffalo getting ready for the next season. And then now I'm going to be heading down to Waco within the next couple of weeks.
Jacob Gall from Buffalo headed to Baylor, offensive lineman from Moeller High School in Cincinnati, our guest on SicEm365 Radio.
Outside of the football and moving in, what's the first Texas thing you want to experience when you get down here?
Got to be the barbecue, no doubt.
We could have just peeled back any other interview we did of anyone coming in from out of the state, but yeah.
Well, he's also an offensive lineman. I mean, you know what he's thinking about.
No, absolutely. You'll have fun.
Yeah, Paul, we got some good spots here. Guests.
We do.
And
Guests
plenty of others.
Yeah, Guests, VTEX, Hellberg, Jaspers, all good, yeah. 310 right down the street from us. Yeah,
absolutely.
Real good.
We got about 3 or 4 within a block of where we have our studio, Jacob. So I'm sure, obviously that's just this block. That doesn't mean the other 1,000 blocks as well.
Yeah, I'm looking for all recommendations right now.
Just turn left or right, man. Yeah. That's all you have to do. So you're packing up. You just flew into Buffalo. You're packing up and you're headed to Waco. Craig asked you about the timeline. I think everyone arrives, the last weekend in May? Is that your destination as well?
Yeah, I should be there. I think June 1st, I think the assigned date for everybody, and I should be there on that day.
How much is your phone blown up since you made the announcement?
I mean, tons of people give me well wishes and things like that, like congratulations. I had to send out a bunch of texts to other coaches recruiting me, telling them thanks for the time, and then talking to my former teammates, telling them thanks for all the years, thanks for all the hard work that you put into me, and then all the time that we spent together. So, yeah, it's been blowing up a lot lately.
Hey, one other thing. You guys, what was the 287 yards a game rushing? What is it like to have the will, to take the will of a defense when you can just pound the ball? Something Baylor has struggled doing, let's be honest. What is that like, that mentality, to be able to do that to an opponent?
It's an unmatched feeling. It obviously just helps with momentum so much, being able to know at any moment you can get those yards on the ground. You don't have to, you don't have to throw it. You don't have to do anything tricky. You can just run the ball, and you can get those yards.
You've heard Jeff Grimes. He wants controlled violence. Can you be controlled violence?
I think that's really what I kind of embody at Buffalo, and I think that's something I can definitely embody at Baylor.
All right. Hey, anything else, Lynn?
No, I think just hearing that answer, some people are going to the pro shop, go buy some Jacob Gall jerseys if they could right now. They're wanting to see some violence on that O-line, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, Jacob, do you understand how many people want that offensive line? And it's nothing against the guys that are there. They can do who they are, and they've had transfers in and out. But do you understand right now that people are just thirsty to see an offensive line that can move some people?
Yeah, and I understand that I'm being brought in to help that, and that I want these guys to get better as much as I want to get better, and I'm there to help everybody, not just myself when I get there.
What are you going to be at your master's or your graduate program?
So my undergrad was in business, so I'm hoping to do my my graduate degree in business also.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck. Hey, thanks. I know that you have dreams of playing one day, perhaps in the NFL. You have 2 years of eligibility left. And so is that an option for you as well?
Yeah. Obviously, I just want to get there, and I want to play. I want to have a good season, and I want to win a lot of games with these guys. So I think that's obviously the first thing I'm really thinking about.
No, I get it. I understand. Good luck. Thanks for your time. Travel safely, and come get some barbecue.
Thank you.
Jacob Gall from Buffalo, offensive lineman. That's an interesting note. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Paul. Good stuff with that. A young man from Buffalo with the Moeller High School in Cincinnati. That's a blue-chip school. He started all 4 years in high school at Moeller. That is a big boy school up in Cincinnati in Ohio. Mentioning that perhaps center, which was his common or normal position. And when you ask an offensive line or any coach at you know what you do on an offensive line? We get all caught up in left tackle, right guard, whatever. You want the 5 best players, right? I think that's what you want. No matter where you put them, That's what Randy Clements did an incredible job at with Baylor for a long, long time. Of course, they were also able to have some depth along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add to that. I'm surprised that, center's the spot. That makes me wonder about Grant Miller a bit. And I was wondering about him during the spring as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there because I felt like Grant Miller was probably a guy who was going to come in and be the starting center. So that's obviously not the case. I know there were some rumblings about, was it working out okay or whatever during the spring, and hopefully it is. But, they've got positions to address. There's nobody you can just kind of sit and wait on with this offensive line right now. I mean, it's been 4 years of just average at best play. And, maybe slightly above average during the run to the Big 12 championship game. But outside of that, it's been pretty abysmal on the offensive line for going on close to 5 years. So the more the merrier. Nobody's got a starting job locked in. Tons of competition, tons of bodies. I mean, that's what I want to see. And hopefully 5 good players emerge out of that. And if that doesn't happen again for the 5th year in a row, then I don't know what to do. I don't know what you do because – there are no quick fixes. So hopefully this is, as close to a quick fix as you can possibly have because we've seen, Jake Burton, Grant Miller comes in, you're like, hey, Grant Miller, Baylor, and then you hear no peeps during the spring, and now they're bringing in another center. So it's like, it can be very hot and cold on transfers, but I like what I heard from Jacob. He sounds like he'll fit the part well, and hopefully he comes in and makes a big impact, and hopefully some of that Buffalo offensive line magic from last year rubs off on this Baylor offensive line, so guys like Treston Ebner and others can have some room to run around for once.
Yep, I appreciate that. He was matter of fact. I'm coming into play. That's the reason I'm coming, is coming in to help them out, move people around. And I like that mentality. Now go do it, and we'll see what Eric Mateos can do with the newest part of his offensive lineman room, and Jacob Gall from Buffalo and Cincinnati Moeller High School. When we come back, we'll have Mack Rhoades, Baylor's Director of Athletics. We have Hayden and also Jack today running the mothership. Armstrong will be back sometime here in the next few days. He's under the weather, and we're wishing him the very best as well. Craig, Paul, I'm David Smoak, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodward, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Save banking in person or use their online and mobile apps and convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They've got first deposit, and you can deposit a check using your smartphone camera. Just snap a picture of the front and back of your check and choose your account and deposit. Secure Lock Equip, where you can control how your debit card is used, receive instant notifications when it is used, and turn your card off and on, and control ATM withdrawals and set spending limits. I've told this story a bunch of times. I've been on the road. We were in Chicago. I got a call from them one day saying, hey, did you buy a bunch of stuff at a Walmart in Weslaco, Texas? And I was like, I've been to a lot of places in Texas. I live there, but I've never been to that Walmart, and I've never been to Weslaco. So I'm in Chicago right now, and boom, done, over with. I walked in and got a new card the day that we got back from the Windy City. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 for all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Alan Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with up to $3,750 in values or 0% for 72 months. The new Jeep Cherokee Laredo is built tough, and with the Jeep Freedom Days going on now, it's a great time for a new Jeep SUV. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer. The best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340, Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by, let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Craig Smoak's Off the Radar coming up in the next segment. David Ellman, Julia Morales, and John McClain will join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Dave Aranda's at the Houston Touchdown Club, in fact, tomorrow night. And so that's coming up as well. We're now joined by Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. Mack, good to have you. You had kind of been leaning towards the capacity numbers going up. I think you even mentioned for sure 75%, and now today 100% capacity. How much did you lean on the health officials? How much did you lean on maybe even Dr. Mark Ackerman, if any?
Yeah, we certainly relied on our, the university's health management team, and Kenny Boyd serves on that, and certainly in consultation with our other medical professionals. But obviously felt good about making that decision for outdoor activities. We'll continue to vet, indoors. The one fall sport that's coming up quickest, obviously, is volleyball. But we'll continue to monitor that and see where that trends. But again, we feel really good about where we're at, and that we can do it in a responsible way and safe way. And so, we're excited about it. We're excited. We'll see, how it goes with baseball and in their, final homestand against Oklahoma, and hope we can get to capacity, but hope that the fans come on out and enjoy, the 3 games, and then, looking forward to football and soccer, and certainly, cross country in the fall.
Mack, with the with going 100% and planning to go 100%, is it easier for you to make the plan at 100% now that you have a year under your belt of not being 100% that you could, if at any time you had to dial it back, you already kind of know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think given, our season ticket base and the fact that we felt really, really confident that it was no less than 75%, you're really talking about single game ticket sales, et cetera. So, Paul, to your point, much easier. And again, we wouldn't have announced, officially 100% for outdoor events if we didn't feel really, really strong about it. And it's mid-May, and we certainly understand that there's 3.5 months left before the 1st of September. But again, just given everything that's happening, in our community, in the state of Texas, CDC guidelines, our medical professionals, again, the health management team, we felt really, really good at the decision. We didn't take lightly, and we feel good about 100%.
I'm not sure if you heard the update, but Stanford, who has that, what do you call it, Paul? They have that money. They got all that money.
The endowment.
The endowment, which has got a massive endowment. There were thoughts that they were going to drop about a dozen sports, and apparently they've now reversed that and say they will not drop anything, which is a great reversal for Stanford when it comes to the student athletes involved. You have been able to keep everything going along with what you have at Baylor. Are we starting to see maybe the grass growing again? And not that everyone's like completely out of it, but that it's starting to turn the table?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about it certainly at various points through COVID, just, the revenue impact, that COVID had on us. And again, just so grateful and thankful we've been able to mitigate it. We were able to do that. I'm proud to say this. We did not decrease one student athlete service throughout COVID. And so when you think about preparing champions for life and our 4 pillars, we were able to maintain and maybe even in a couple areas even increase a little bit. So we're able to again maintain all of those student athlete services. We've talked about it. We're able to, maintain our staffing level. We didn't have to lay off everyone. People are excited about football. 96% renewal rate, which is, I think it's the best renewal rate that we've had since I've been here as athletic director. Approaching 1,100, new season tickets. Where overall we've surpassed the pre-COVID numbers. So it feels like spring. It feels like things are starting to blossom, and we're getting back to some normalcy. We're still cautious. We're going to continue to be cautious and be careful and thoughtful, but we're tracking in a good direction.
Mack, did you think that was going to be possible, like deep down when everything was kind of, in such disarray? Did you think that you guys were going to be able to make it through the way that you have without having to really eliminate too much at all? And not even in terms of just staff, but the, amenities and things like that. I mean, was that realistic in your mind maybe a few months ago?
Craig, that's such a fair question. And, I think we believed. I think I believed. I'm not going to sit here and say yes, 100%. No doubt. But yeah, we were confident. We had a plan. As you all know, I'm a huge believer in preparation and dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And from the onset of COVID back in April of 2020, our cost reduction plan. We've talked about our 2 primary goals were protecting our people, meaning both our student athletes and our staff, and then 2, making sure that when we come out of COVID, that we're really well positioned, that we don't make any decisions that we're gonna create permanent damage or long-term damage where it was going to take 3 to 5 years to dig out of, and I think we've done that. I think we're in a position, and it's just a great job by our Cody Hall and our financial services staff and all of our coaches and people just sacrificing and finding a way to get it done. And this is a tangent, and so I apologize, but I remember clearly, before the fall semester meeting with our leadership team, which is our head coaches and sport program administrators, and I talked about the win, the W is going to be to compete, to actually play seasons and do it in a safe manner, and to now look back and think about all of the teams that we've had ranked in the top 10, for our men's team basketball to win a national championship. Tennis right now getting ready to compete in the Elite Eight, softball on its way to Florida, on and on and on, right? Our men's golf team in the regional, and baseball will go to postseason. What an unbelievable accomplishment by our student athletes and our coaches and all of the support staff. It's been a really hard year, but it's been a really special year as well.
How much stuff, because of the fact that you are, look so far out and you talk about it being prepared and having these meetings, how much stuff that hasn't come up yet or that is maybe on the horizon in a couple of years, has your staff talked about and you guys maybe have at least plan A for, because you had all this time, to kind of extrapolate things during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, a good amount of it. I mean, again, COVID, it felt like you were managing and I think managing is a better word than leading. But I think during COVID, so much of it is you were managing crises every day. And so while you were doing that, you were also simultaneously, at least we were trying to be forward thinking and to anticipate and to make sure that we set ourselves up for future success. And, not just this upcoming 21-22, year, but 22 and 23. And how does everything we do right now, and again, we talk about everything counts, everything matters, how every detail, how we take care of everything right now will have impact 12 months from now, 24 months from now, 36 months from now. And we've been intentional about it. I'm not saying we've been perfect, but those are certainly conversations that we have and continue to have.
Mack, the university announced last week, the donation, the gift, the basketball court, the Give Light campaign has reached the $1 billion mark out of the $1.1 billion initial target. Just your thoughts on the fundraising side of things, how that's impacting sports moving forward, and just obviously a pretty big achievement for the university to get that going, especially during these times.
Yeah, no, it's been a great job by the university. Our vice president for advancement, Dave Roselli, is a good friend, and him and his staff, Greg Davis and Toby, and on our staff, Nick, just so many people that have done an outstanding job. And I know when we launched the campaign, just coming out of all the things that had happened with the football program, there were certainly several that said this is the wrong time and not a good time to do that. And now fast forward 4 years, we've broken the $1 billion mark, and, it won't be long before we break the $1.1 million mark. And, athletics, we had a goal, and we had an external goal that we've been able to surpass. And then I set an internal goal, telling our staff that the external goal wasn't good enough. We needed to do even better, and we're close to that. And, that translates into, the opportunity to enhance, not just facilities, but the way we continue to support our student athletes, and all of the services, and we're gonna continue to grow those and make those better. And then, you certainly think about the pavilion and the football ops building, and those are two realities now that are going to happen because of generous donors. And Paula and the late Mark Hurd are two very, very special people, and the way they've stepped up with the Welcome Center and then the court. And I don't know that we had an opportunity to talk through that, but we were very specific on actually not the court, but the floor naming right, and gives us an opportunity to add a name or two in the future if we want to name, or add a additional name or two for the court naming. That was very much part of the conversation with Paula, and she would have had it, no other way. And so, just a lot of good things going on, and we're gonna continue to raise money. And there's that old saying. It was one of the first things I learned about fundraising is you don't GET unless you ASK. And so we're gonna keep ASKing. So
I had a client one time tell me that, this has been years ago, they were upset because I had not contacted them about some coverage I was going to have at Rangers baseball training camp, and they called me while I was at the camp, and they said, "Hey, I didn't know you were going to be there." And I said, "Yeah, well, how come you didn't ask me to be a sponsor?" And I said, "Well, you're so involved in so much else." And they said, "That's my job to say yes or no." It's exactly what you just said.
Yeah, I'm a big believer, as crazy as this sounds, is no. The answer no is one step closer to yes. So
my dad used to tell me that all the time. Yeah, he did all the time. He was a fantastic salesman himself. That was his career. But Mack, how open would Baylor be? And some people are, and some people aren't. Depends on the university. To corporate naming rights of a stadium.
Yeah, I think there's. I think absolutely we would be open to it. The right partner. When I was at the University of Houston, the new stadium there, TDCU, in 2014, was very much involved with that naming right, and that made great sense for Houston. TDCU, the leadership, the organization, the culture. Wonderful people, and was a great unity partnership with the University of Houston. And we would be open to something similar like that here at Baylor if the opportunity presented itself.
So, Mack, just to clarify, I mean, obviously the arena's moving full force. You got the court and the naming rights and the opportunities, as you mentioned, for that to even grow. So that football ops building, is that now is that finalized as far as, moving forward, green lighting the project? Like, kind of where are you on that officially?
Craig, that is a good question, and I didn't think you'd let me leave this call without digging a little deeper on that one. So, candidly, transparently, I'm not ready to say it's 100% a go, but we're tracking. It's in a really good spot right now, and I certainly believe we will break ground here. Sometime around when we break ground on the pavilion.
Matt, a couple of other things on the court, and obviously that's just an image right now. What was the feedback on it? What was the feedback also? Obviously, you guys are moving forward eventually and digging dirt on the west side of 35 where the arena is going to be, or field house or complex is going to be. What has been the overall feedback you've received from anything Baylor?
Yeah, I think, on certainly the Mark and Paula Hurd floor naming right for the pavilion, that has been overwhelmingly positive. And people excited and fired up and happy. And so that's been really, really positive. And again, we have not made the decision on location for the pavilion, but certainly, in the process of doing that. And I think we'll have clarity soon. And, I would say just in general conversation, because people know what's out there, right?
Sure.
And so I think feedback mainly it's positive. I don't think it's 100%. There's certainly some that have a different opinion, but I think it's been mainly positive and good feedback.
One thing, obviously, Nikki Collin, your women's basketball coach, I believe may be back in town. She's added a couple of staff members, but there's more to go. There is an attrition right now with the roster. You knew that might happen. She knew that might happen. Conversations with her about obviously trying to play catch up with that as they've lost some more to the transfer portal.
Yeah, no, I think we're in a good place, Smoak. I really do. I appreciate the question, and we knew that there would be some movement. There always is. Anytime you have transition, I think about Queen and Alyssa and Caitlin and Sarah and Jaden and Jordan Lewis and Kamaria and, I hope I'm not missing anyone else, but, those are all current roster student athletes that have made a commitment to stay. I think, a couple for different reasons personal to them. I don't think it was really anything to do with Nikki. Felt like from a playing time perspective that they wanted to test the water. You look at somebody like Moon. I think Moon she's such a man. She's one of my all-time favorite student athletes, but she's going through the process of where's the best place for her if she wants to pursue, her nursing degree and start on that immediately. And so, by going into the portal, that allows her the opportunity to maybe explore a couple different options. We'll see where that lands. Obviously, she's from Louisiana, but we support her 100%. And so again, I think we're in a good place, and none of it unexpected. And I talked to Nikki daily, and I think she's at peace with it, and she's working on the rest of the staff. I'm personally so fired up that Sophia is joining our staff. I had an opportunity to talk to her for about 20 minutes. Probably 4 or 5 days before her and Nikki were able to get on the phone and have a conversation. And what an unbelievable person. And she's going to be terrific. And Tari was at Houston when I was there for a couple years, and literally hated to see her leave Houston for Arkansas. She's special. So slowly but surely, Nikki's going to build the staff, and they're going to be great character, great quality.
Thank you, Mack. Appreciate it very much. So he admitted to us, right? No, he did not, about the football ops building. But thank you very much, Mack. Appreciate your time every Tuesday. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics, with us at Baylor, and we tried to run through the gamut of many things, including the transition in the women's basketball roster, which we gave you some of that news earlier. But the one that, Craig, you picked out of everything he said and came back to that is the one about the football ops building.
Yeah, and I don't think about myself very often, but I did find it kind of funny that Mack figured that I was going to be the one to circle back to that, just because I guess we know each other well enough now. So, yeah, I definitely did. When I heard that, my ears perked up, and I just tweeted it out. But, yeah, the football field house is not, officially a go in terms of a date and breaking ground and all that, but it's a go as far as it appears the money side of it, or as much as – it can be at this moment. And, yeah, he says they're going to break ground hopefully around the same time they break ground in the pavilion. So more construction in Waco, Texas. No, just kidding.
You won't even know. Listen, people won't even notice. At some point.
It'll blend in with all the other junk going on around here. But, that's obviously massive news because the pavilion's one thing. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about that, but they do need a football building. They need their own dedicated football building. They need it for recruiting. They need it for just the stuff that they do. They need it for space. They need it for a lot of different reasons. And the other sports need that space too. That's being taken up.
In the Simpson Hires building.
Yeah. So, he's talked about it in depth before about how that would matter. And I think that's fantastic news. A football field house would be program changing in a good way.
Well, if you think about it, you have the pavilion. He did say that they have not yet made a decision, although it appeared as if it does appear it's going to be on the opposite side of 35, on the west side of 35, which of course has been a back and forth on that. Wherever the hell they build it, it's going to be beautiful. And then I was going to ask him this. I believe they probably wanted to reach and mention the flooring name of Paula and Mark Hurd, maybe even a couple of months ago, but the basketball transition probably delayed that a little bit, so they come back with that. I thought that was interesting timing with that. But the football ops building, listen, when I arrived in Waco in 2010, there was not much construction at all. Now, everywhere you look, there's construction, and it's positive. I know some people it's bad. We had construction right in front of us. It kind of delays how we get here. But, man, is this place growing leaps and bounds. And it's a pain in the – you know what? It is. But it is just people are turning dirt left and right.
Should I delete my tweet and change the football ops building? I said field house.
I think it's fine. Okay. I think people know.
I'll respond to your tweet and put football ops building on that as well. All right, when we come back, Craig Smoak, and off the radar, there's been an update on a baseball off the radar note I think that will be a part of today, and this is SicEm365 Radio. No matter who has been in the White House or who is in Congress or whatever's going on with the economy, since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has grown. Grown every day because of two things. One, great product, and also amazing customer service. Not only if you're a business, if you sell something to somebody, no matter what business it might be, whatever service it might be, whatever product it might be, you sell something the first time. The key is, can you get that same person back because they love the experience and the product to come back a second and fifth and 12th time. Pioneer Steel and Pipe does that. PioneerBoys.com on the website, locations in Waco and Bryan, and they're open on Saturdays from 8 until noon if you need something, if you can't get there during the week. And if, in fact, you get product from Pioneer Steel and Pipe, metal buildings, pipe and steel, heavy-duty stuff, they'll deliver it to where it needs to go and unload it for you as well. 1943, and they have withstood all of the big box stores that come in and try to squash local business. And they are stronger than ever before in building their brand new complex, their brand new business on the corner of Loop 340 and 12th Street. PioneerBoys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, I like that intro. Here we are, Off the Radar, taking a look at a few stories outside the normal realm of things we discuss on the daily. So bouncing around various sports a little bit. First of all, glad to report that Kevin Pillar is doing okay after taking a pitch to the face this week. Brutal scene on Monday night, Mets and Braves. A 94-mile-per-hour fastball connected with Kevin Pillar's face. You may have seen the video of it. He got diagnosed with multiple nasal fractures. Had to go see a specialist in Atlanta. And he dropped by the clubhouse, apparently, to just kind of lift the spirits of his teammates because, you know, they got hurt and all that. So Marcus Stroman came onto Twitter and said that Kevin Pillar walked into the clubhouse, says, "Am I in the lineup today or what?" And he called him a warrior. He said, "I'm about to get my man the Rip Hamilton face mask for future competition." So Kevin Pillar having fun with taking a 94-mile-per-hour fastball to the face.
First time I ever heard of something like this was a kid was when Tony Conigliaro of the Boston Red Sox in the late 60s, a fantastic young player, got hit in the face. I believe it was Tony Conigliaro. Am I right, Paul?
Was. Boston's Joe DiMaggio.
You were about minus 35 years old, but Tony Conigliaro was a great young player. I don't know if it was 66, 67, 68, 69. When in that area, Red Sox had lost to the Cardinals in the World Series during one of those years. But he took one right in the face, and it obviously he still turned out to be a pretty good player. I don't know if I could ever go back into the batter's box if I got hit right in the face.
Yeah, I got hit one time. Just
there it is. Yeah.
I mean, like you see guys get hit, or you see guys take one off the helmet or whatever, and yeah, it's just frightening, man. It's frightening sitting in the batter's box. Period. I mean, you kind of have to almost check out in a way, just regardless.
Well, and pitchers are throwing so hard now.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid growing up, if you If your staff had 3 guys that hit 95 plus, you're probably in the World Series. Now, the staffs have less, location guys and more guys who are just thundering it up there.
Yeah. So he's doing well, which is good to see. I don't know how many of us would take 94-mile-per-hour fastballs to the face and be bouncing around the clubhouse shortly thereafter. I think it was about a week or so ago I told you about a unique Major League Baseball record that had been set by Corbin Burns of the Milwaukee Brewers. He set the mark for most strikeouts without a walk.
Yep.
He hit 58 strikeouts since beginning his season. He didn't start the very beginning of the season, but since returning this season, he continued his mark from last year, 58 strikeouts without allowing a walk, and that Major League Baseball record that hadn't been broken in forever has already been broken. Garrett Cole has the new record of most strikeouts without allowing a walk, as Garrett Cole did so against the Texas Rangers. New mark for strikeouts, 61. He did give up a double to Willie Calhoun in the early, but struck out Nick Solak, Nate Lowe, and Joey Gallo to end the innings. To end the inning, that gave him 59 strikeouts without allowing a walk, so that broke Burns' 58 mark from last week. So I don't know how often I'm going to have to keep updating this, but it is funny that I just bring that up last week.
62, how many innings?
59 strikeouts.
59 strikeouts without a walk. Wow.
Yeah. So that's
and
the new mark.
I've never heard of that stat until you brought it up with Burns last. I never not really thought much about it, but golly, in 1 week it breaks. 1 week it's after taking, how long was it? It was a while, wasn't it?
Well, he had 59, and then he struck out 2 more guys to get to 61, and then he walked Joey Gallo. So now the mark's over, and it's at 61 strike. That's to be very clear, that's the new mark, is 61 strikeouts. It was 58 last week, then Cole breaks it with 59, strikes out 2 more, then he walks Joey Gallo, so now it's 61.
Okay.
Got it?
Right.
So, there you go. And the great part about it, Garrett Cole said, it's cool. I just heard about it, but kind of more mad that we lost. So he was being ever the competitor, old Garrett Cole.
How about the Rangers lost 6 straight, their longest losing streak of the year, and then they get Garrett Cole and they beat him.
Yeah.
Crazy game. That's why they play the games, as they say.
Yeah, you guys mentioned this, so it wasn't so much off the radar, but just curious your thoughts on Stanford's reversal of the 11 sports they were going to cut. They're going to keep all 11 because of an improved financial picture with increased fundraising potential. They obviously faced a lot of backlash to this because there's a lot of fans, especially a school like Stanford, where they won the Sears Cup year after year because they competed in a lot of things that people didn't really compete in. And those are some of the sports that would be going to the wayside. Sailing was going to be gone. Wrestling was going to be gone. Men's volleyball was going to be gone, along with 8 others. So they found a way there at Stanford, and they are one of only 2 sports programs in the entire country, with Ohio State being the other one, with as many sports as they have. Stanford has 36 sports. Ohio State has 37, which is the most in the country. But that's great news for college athletics, I think.
It is. And look, what's the point, if you're Stanford, of having all these billionaire and millionaire donors if you can't get money when you need it, when you actually want to keep something? The other thing that's kind of fortunate for them is that, of those programs you mentioned, wrestling or, volleyball or whatever, believe me, there's some CEOs that came out of those programs that played there because Stanford is the school that it is. And so, to see Stanford's cut 11 sports, the reason I'm glad about it is not happy seeing the rich get richer. If Stanford has to cut 11 sports, what does everybody else have to do?
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I don't remember the 11. You didn't mention the 11, did you?
I mentioned 3 of the 11.
Okay, yeah. There's some.
Wrestling, sailing, men's volleyball were of the 3.
Field hockey, women's fencing. I'm going to get knocked out because it's a pay site.
Ad blocker.
They have sailing. Is that right?
I said sailing.
Yeah, okay.
So it's sports like that. It's basically what it is. It's not football. It's not basketball. It's pick your litter of
Olympic
any other
sports.
ones.
A lot of Olympic sports.
And I do think that there were some athletic departments that got to use the pandemic to do something that they didn't have the stones to do.
Hartford?
Yeah.
Stones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Nuggets.
He's right.
The Biscuits.
Brass?
Yeah. They couldn't do it. And they needed a reason that was justifiable because they didn't have one before. And the pandemic came along and oh, look, okay, good. We don't have this anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Louisville basketball. An former assistant coach, Dino Gaudio. Paul, am I doing that right? Italian?
Yeah.
Gaudio?
Yeah.
Gaudio?
Maybe you don't know.
Dino Gaudio. former now Louisville basketball assistant coach. He has been federally charged with extortion. He apparently tried to extort money and other things of value and hurt the school's reputation. He apparently had a meeting on March 17th in person with various officials, and this was according to the U.S. attorney who was putting this case out there. Apparently, he met with these officials on March the 17th. He was let go by head coach Chris Mack the following day because he threatened to report to the media allegations that the men's basketball team had violated NCAA rules. He threatened to release details of the violations if he was not paid his salary for an additional 17 months. And he also had sent a text to university officials that featured a recruiting video that he was threatening to release publicly because he claimed the basketball team had produced these videos for potential players and for the use of assistants that violated NCAA rules. There was something with like the assistants were actually out on the court and they weren't supposed to be, things like that. So he threatens to expose them for this. He gets fired, and now he's being federally charged, and part of the reason why it's a federal charge is because the text that he sent, those threatening texts, were sent out of state. So, Dino Gaudio, you were a Louisville assistant, and now you are potentially going to prison. So don't think you played the game very well, young man.
So they'll get a 5-star recruit tomorrow.
Of course.
Kansas got Arizona State's guard over the weekend.
Yeah,
right?
and he says he's staying in the NBA draft for now, but I went and looked at 4 or 5 mock drafts, and nobody has Remy Martin listed. By the way, a friend of ours that's been on the show, are you going to mention this, Craig?
No, go ahead.
Just want to add this. After 38 years at WFAA, Dale Hansen is going to retire on September 2nd, and that is the end of an era, not just in Dallas, but I think maybe in local sports media. I don't think there's going to be many more guys like that. I mean, Mark Giangreco already got let go in Chicago for some nonsense that had nothing to do with him, but Mark Giangreco gone, Dale Hansen gone, the days of the sports guy in a city, the big-time sports guy who gets paid a lot of money, I think are over.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are too. I don't think there's going to be many more Dale Hansens. I mean, there weren't to begin with, but yeah, the days of like your local TV guy being all legendary and all that, maybe the weathermen still, because I mean, they're at a different level of popularity because people are obsessed with the weather. But, yeah, sports-wise, I think that's kind of out of there.
Yeah, and it is different because consultants have told some news directors that you don't need sports. And then what's interesting is then there's a major sports story or something to cover, whether it's locally or around the nation, and the news department then wants to be a part of it. I've never understood that. You're not important. Wait a minute. We need to make sure our big person is on the scene at some major
Or if
event.
you're a mid-level market that doesn't have one and something happens, you've got to send a news person over there. And what they wind up doing is, so tell me on your sports brawl problem what happened. And then they don't know what they're doing because that's not what they do. So.
There's a lot of people. He's a very controversial lightning rod guy. I've gotten to know. We all have. We've had opportunities to spend some time with Dale. I haven't talked to him in a while because of training camp. He's not there as long. And he got to the point where he was doing things, some commentaries that were national. He was not always at all flattering about Baylor. He's not flattering about a lot of things when it comes to his opinion, but he was bombastic and he was powerful. And there's no question about that. That's interesting. He'll retire in early September, right before basically football season begins.
I like Dale a lot. I would just say I think that some of the attention that he got for some of those early rants kind of went to his head a little bit, and you kind of saw him almost doing them more. You know what I mean? Like, and they were great. But they were great because they weren't all the time. And not that he started doing them all the time. It was just like I felt like I started seeing it more regularly, and maybe that was a sign of just all the things going on. Because there was a lot of ammunition out there.
Yeah, a lot of his editorials, commentary, whatever you're saying, were a lot of them were about social issues.
Right.
You know, he did one that took off where he got invited on to Ellen DeGeneres, and that kind of exploded up from that point on. What was it? Michael Sam, who was going to change the NFL.
Listen, after she stepped aside this week and
so he should. Yeah, maybe they talked.
It had nothing to do with the fact that people found out that she's horrible
not
to
as
work
great
for.
of a person as we were told. In Hollywood, no way. That's that way. But let's
she
continue.
Dances, she has to be nice.
Hey, let's continue to obsess over celebrities. Also, Cleveland area massage therapist that lost her license last week for allegedly targeting Ohio State football players has denied those allegations. This is from a couple of days ago. Robin Bassani said she did have sex with 2 Ohio State players, but insisted that she was not acting for her own sexual gratification. She said most of the players reached out to her. They reached out via a referral program that she was running. The university says she was targeting these young men, and she says to her it feels like their way of staying in charge of the situation and making her the villain so they can keep their hands clean. Ohio State apparently had an independent investigation and released those findings late last week. They had redacted her name, but she's come out publicly. So she's been ordered to permanently surrender her license. And, I feel like if this was any other school, it would have been blown up and a huge deal. And I barely even heard about this. Yeah. I feel like I barely even heard about this story, but maybe that was just me not paying attention. So Ohio State says they don't think it triggers anything as far as NCAA sanctions or anything along those lines. So they're clear as far as that goes. But I
don't know what rule they broke. It's weird, but again, if here's what's going to happen. A bunch of those guys are going to go, well, this is not what you do. And then there's going to be a few of them that are like, well, I guess this is what you do.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Yep. So she's saying that it wasn't what it appears to be, but Ohio State is moving on, distancing themselves from her. Nothing to update on the Tyson Fury-Anthony Joshua fight with Deontay Wilder now being kind of forced back into the picture. So I'll wait till some more information. Maybe I'll have that on Thursday as far as the basically Deontay Wilder's going to take a gigantic payday to step aside is what's going to happen. So smart move for him. He's going to get really, really rich off this, but nobody wants to see him and Tyson Fury fight again. So just a money ploy by Wilder, basically.
Boxing looked like for about 24 hours to 36 hours they had something good going with Fury against Joshua, and they effed it up, and they screwed it up. And now all of a sudden maybe we're going to see the fight that people want to see between those two.
Yeah, I think it's just politicking. So
when we come back, David Hellman, also Julia Morales on the Astros, who are surging to the top of the American League West, and John McClain, SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Pay over qualified buyer with 4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Hit the road in a 2016 Buick Encore for only $152 a month, a 2016 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, a 2018 Mercedes GLA for $334 a month, or a 2015 GMC Terrain for only $135 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's a Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
All right. Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, 509 SicEm365 Radio, and joined by David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. David, I asked this question yesterday as well. If you take all of the Cowboys draft picks, what would you rather see in the end? 8 guys, 8 players who make the team and contribute, or 3 of them who are starters?
Ooh, good question. Give me the starters, honestly. I mean, because what does make the team and contribute mean? Does it mean you're a gunner on special teams? Does it mean, they find a way to get you onto the field in certain packages? I mean, if you can find 3 starters in a draft, that is a phenomenal draft. I mean, if they're good enough to start right out of the gate, with the chance of developing into, Pro Bowl type of players as their careers go, that's a win regardless. It's a win if you have 7 picks. It's a win if you have 11. So I'll take the starters for sure.
Would you think that they have 2 right out of the gate with Micah Parsons and Kelvin Joseph are probably going to have to start?
I mean, it will be disappointing if they don't, but I don't think you can bank on that. That's the hope, right? I mean, if they did as good of a job as they think they did, those guys should be able to start. But at the end of the day, Leighton Vander Esch has been to a Pro Bowl. We know he can play at a high level when he's healthy. Jalen Smith, for a lot of reasons. Obviously, he's started in the league for 4 years at this point. It's also a lot of money to not be playing. So, I don't think that's 100% guaranteed. And the same thing with Kelvin Joseph. I mean, Trayvon Diggs started last year almost out of necessity, and he did get picked on. And then you look at, so you've got Diggs coming back. And again, you've got Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis, who might not be amazing, but there's something to be said for being 4- and 5-year veterans in the league. So it will be disappointing if those guys do not have large roles, but I don't think you can assume anything before they even get to training camp.
David, would it be fair to say that optimism is through the roof for Dak Prescott's return?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, seems like all systems are go. He's on track to be ready for training camp. Every box that's needed to be ticked with him has been this off season. And let's be honest, the Cowboys are as good as Dak Prescott and their passing game makes them. So, if you're a Cowboy fan hoping that this team is going to bounce back from last year and be a playoff contender, it rests on his shoulders. So yeah, I mean, it's everything to this team. And, I would hope people are optimistic with how favorable all the reports have been.
Outside of Jabril Cox, who kind of fits a lot of different roles, whether it's special teams or the nickel defense or whatever, and the guys I mentioned before, is there a guy later on that you expect to maybe have a good shot at really contributing this year?
Yeah, I mean, in a best case scenario, there's a few of those guys, right? I mean, and we can talk about the off field issues. I mean, 11 incidents of domestic violence definitely make you scratch your head with Josh Ball, but the report on him is that, he was never charged with the crime. He's on the team now. The report on him is that he would have been a top 100 pick if he had a clean off the field resume. So if he's that good, then now you're talking about, a surprisingly good guy who can give you depth at offensive tackle. I don't expect him to have a huge role as a rookie, but it seems like nobody can stop talking about Simi Fehoko, the Stanford receiver. I think the Cowboys feel like they really got a steal there. A very raw but a very talented guy. Just aren't a lot of receivers that are 6'4" and can run a 4.4. So, maybe you stash him at the bottom of your depth chart and try to develop him behind all of the stars at the receiver position. But that is a pick with a lot of upside. That one is awfully intriguing for me.
David Hellman with us, DallasCowboys.com on SicEm365 Radio. So I know you weren't able to kind of watch much of what happened with the rookie minicamp. You mentioned some of the things that came out of it. What is the timeline now, David? What's next? How do you take us through from now until Oxnard, California?
It's funny. I joke about this a lot. Like, the lack of insider info because of COVID is comical at this point, just because, I hear something new about what it's going to look like every day in terms of the protocols and what the access is going to be like. I do know, the unofficial start of their OTA session is next week. So teams should be on the field next week. And then, I think they get a short break for Labor Day and then first week of June. And then they'll have a mini camp somewhere around like the 10th. Memorial Day, not Labor Day. But so, they'll have these, I have no idea what it's going to look like, but starting next week and running for about 3 weeks. And then, we'll take a deep breath from mid-June until mid-July, and hopefully we'll be in Oxnard, but I don't even know the answer to that right now. So, as usual with these COVID situations, it's a waiting game.
Will we see a veteran signing at quarterback before training camp, or would that be one of those things they get to training camp and then go, yeah, we should bring somebody in?
Well, from the sounds of it, Brett Hundley is visiting this week, which, he's a veteran backup who's worked with Mike McCarthy before, so that makes a lot of sense. It certainly seems like they want to do something there before they get to camp. They brought in Jeff Driscoll. They're supposed to visit with Brett Hundley, so that's two guys that are way more experienced than what they have right now. So if I had to guess, I would say they're going to try to do that before they go. But then you also have to think, there's a few situations that I think bear monitoring around the league too. Now that Chicago has Justin Fields, are they going to carry Nick Foles on their roster all the way up to training camp, or how long will he be on the roster once they get to training camp with obviously Andy Dalton and Justin Fields also being there? So, if worse comes to worse, maybe they can try to address this later in the summer. But if I had to guess, I think they want to add a more experienced guy before they go.
David, total shot in the dark here because I know things are somewhat limited, but did you have a chance at all to see Baylor basketball player Mark Vital out there with the Cowboys at all this past weekend? Nick Eatman had mentioned him working out, and Smokey had heard something about that a couple weeks ago. Did you get a chance to see him at all?
I'm sorry, I honestly didn't. I do know, they didn't. They're not expected to sign any of their tryout guys that came to rookie camp. So, but that's always interesting to watch because obviously, even when you don't sign a guy, they typically say, keep your phone on you. We might be in touch. So, if somebody gets hurt during OTAs or mini camp, or obviously once you get closer to the season, if once you hear a guy's name, it's you're like, okay, I'll keep my radar out for this guy because obviously the team sees something they like. But as of right now, no, I haven't seen or heard much.
David, thank you very much. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com with us on Tuesdays at 5 when we come back. The Astros are playing a lot better. They got off kind of a sluggish start. A's, of course, surged to the top, and a couple of others along the way in the American League West. They swept the Rangers. They're playing better. And Julia Morales, who does the television work in the on the field to cover the Astros, will join us next. John McClain about 5:35, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
Own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
White Sox have the best record in the American League, just ahead of the A's and also the Red Sox. But here comes Houston, and Toronto is playing well as well. And we're now joined by Julia Morales, who is the field reporter for the Houston Astros television network on SicEm365 Radio. It's great to hear from you, Julia. How you been?
Oh, so good. Good to hear your voice.
Are you now able to be where you need to be? Are you guys traveling? How is that working out now?
Not yet. Gosh, we're dying to get back on the road. You know, we missed that. We missed just being able to interact and get the interviews in the way that we did in the past. And our poor guys calling the game, play by play isn't easy when you're doing it on monitor from 3,000 miles away. So that's what we've been doing. And so tonight's going to be a late one for us. We're used to being with the team. And so these 9 o'clock starts, 8:40 starts are a little rough.
Yeah.
when they turn into long games. But we're getting there. I think they're getting closer. I've heard some radio guys have hit the road. So hopefully maybe soon, maybe after the All-Star break, we're getting closer.
Astros have won 8 of 10. They're surging up towards the top. Obviously, Oakland's playing well. Why are the Astros playing better?
Well, they're putting it all together finally. They had a rough stretch there. They came out hot. If anyone saw that first series with the Astros in Oakland, and we thought, oh my God, this is the greatest team we've ever seen, just because of how well they played the first week of the season. And then they kind of, the pitching wasn't as good. The guys weren't going as deep into the games, but nothing was really alarming by any means. But the hitting kind of slowed down a little bit. Then there was the COVID IL, and the heart of the order all of a sudden ends up on the IL for 5 days, and they're trying to come back, and they come back in freezing Colorado. It was just a lot of crazy things that went on in the middle of what's been 40 games or so. So now they're just kind of putting it all back together. Had a great homestand. The pitching has been good. That Greinke was, the one struggling, which he usually isn't. Everybody else is doing a great job, but he finally came around to have a really nice start. Lance McCullers looks great. So yeah, just a little bit of everything right now, and they're rolling it at the playing a lot of AL Oakland first, and then the Rangers this weekend.
Julia, how much is it also kind of adjusting to new roles? I mean, George Springer's gone. I mean, they wouldn't have had him for the first month anyway because Toronto didn't, but even still, you have somebody like that was such a key piece of your lineup for so long. You do have to adjust when he's not there.
Yeah, it was different. The first couple of weeks we were like, you're just so used to watching George walk up to start the game and with the chance of a homer from the first pitch on. So the lineup did look a little different. It was a little bit deeper, we thought, with George in it, obviously, but it's a good lineup, and it's been a good lineup even without him, and it's strong. Now, 7 through 9 they've had struggles like every other team in the league, so not anything to worry about there. But even Cal Tucker's come around here lately. He's a guy that's hit towards that 7 spot that's all of a sudden come on strong, and they're just kind of putting it together. And Altuve's having a really nice season. They've got four or five guys maybe right now that are hitting over 300. The home runs are coming kind of from everyone. Correa's the guy that we're kind of waiting to get going. He's the one that was going to come out and have this monster year for a free agent. The free agent contract that's coming up for him, we were all kind of eyeing him and watching like what he was going to do and if he's going to put on the show. And he's the one that hasn't really got it going. But everybody else has looked good. They're kind of consistent. Yuli Gurriel is out of his mind. That was a really rough 2020 he's coming off of, but he's lost a bunch of weight. I think he honestly was one of those guys that did not think they were going to play last season, and then when all of a sudden they were told to report, he was like, "Oh crap," and it showed. And it was a really bad year for him in the 60-game stretch, even in the playoffs. So he came ready. He looks great. They've just got production all 1 through 9. Definitely a different looking team. Even with so many of those guys coming back with a guy like George, I mean, you can't pretend like he wasn't a huge impact player.
Julia, how do you feel that Dusty Baker has settled in here in year 2?
Good. He's so different than a lot of managers, and we've had some fun trying to get to know him because he is, he's super friendly and loves to tell us stories. But then, at the end of the day, you're trying to figure out his managing style and how he's going to work with these players. And then the first season, it was so much of a sprint. And then there was so much going on with the team coming off of a year where, where the sign stealing stuff came out. So there was a lot going on here. Yeah. Settling in, I think is a good word. It's finally kind of a normal season. They are still getting booed to death everywhere that they go. And Dusty's being, and he's the guy that has to answer for all that. A guy that has absolutely nothing to do with any of it. But it's starting to come around. The stories are starting to be told of, the relationships that he's building with guys. We don't know how long he's going to be around. This is kind of like a last hurrah for him. He had his option picked up. He does have, he is kind of looking at the number 2,000 when it comes to wins. He's got to come back for another year if that happens. So there's a lot of questions. It's an interesting situation with Dusty, but he's great day to day. He's great. It's great for us to be able to talk to somebody with just so many great stories and so much good knowledge. But definitely a different managing style. He goes with his gut, and that's something we are not used to. Any of us who's covered the Astros for the last decade or so, it has just not been the way. So I think they're starting to kind of feel out how much information he gets, and then how he uses it, and the players are as well. But things are going well, and they're winning right now. So no complaints from anybody at this moment.
Altuve last year, it was one of those things where you start wondering, like, oh my gosh, what's in this guy's head? And he's over 30, so you start wondering. But is it just maybe the full season he got to do everything the same way again that's gotten him back to being Jose Altuve? Now 303, based on a couple years ago, is low for him, but still he's at batting over 300, which is where he lives.
Yeah, and he's finally kind of trending upwards. So I bet that number goes up a little bit too. I was talking about the COVID IL. He's the one who had COVID, tested positive, and had to sit down and be by himself for 10 days. And so we were worried a little bit of how he was going to ramp up. How long would it take him to, you don't want to send this guy to AAA. I mean, it wasn't long enough to have a rehab stint. It was a weird situation, but he took a couple games, and now he's looking like Altuve. He's hitting the pitches that Altuve can hit. He's starting to really be aggressive, and we love that style of swinging from the first pitch on. He's done a really good job in the leadoff spot. I think he's just at peace with a lot of things now, to be completely honest with you. After 2020, I think a lot of them were able to kind of put some things behind them. They've talked to all the people that they need to talk to. Now the booing is just going to be a part of it. And if anybody tuned in for the Yankees series, that was a really tough one on Altuve. And for him, that was kind of that period where we thought, is the, testing positive, and then of course being gone, was that going to affect him? And of course, that's when he started to slump a little bit. It was not great timing for the Yankees to be yelling at the guy. And then of course he hit the huge 3-run home run to help them win that last game before getting out of town, which you can just tell. I mean, the guy, Altuve's not going to say how much that means to him or what, how big of a home run that was, but his teammates were saying it for him. Just a huge jolt. And ever since then, he's been Mr. Consistent. So, I think the longer season is just kind of the way it just works perfectly into the way that Altuve is and puts a season together. The numbers are going to be there, and he looks great. He looks, the defense looks great, and a lot of people had questions about that after the playoffs, and that has not been an issue whatsoever. So, putting together a really nice season so far.
Julia, one more thing. He hasn't played much because he's been injured in Toronto, but George Springer, how much have they been able to kind of get past not having him in their lineup?
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's just you miss the person, and that's what we saw when he showed up. They didn't. He just went on the IL when Toronto showed up in town, and of course there was going to be a tribute, and the guys came out to hug him. It was just different. I mean, they missed that guy. Michael Brantley and him had something, a really special relationship. So there's that part of George that you can't put a number on, right? And that's where a lot of people wanted him to sign back. And when you talk about, like impact players and stuff, I mean, that's who he was. He impacted in so many different ways than his bat. And then there's the bat, right? And then there's his defense. He's the best center fielder. We enjoyed watching him all those years at Minute Maid Park in center field out there. So Miles Straw is doing what he can. I mean, he is not George Springer, and nobody asked him to be, and that's a really tough person to try to replace. They just need Miles to be Miles and, get on base when he can, steal some bags. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. And the defense is something he's working on, has played good defense out there. But yeah, that was definitely a huge blow, but they've definitely moved past that at this point in the season.
Thank you, Julia. Great stuff. Appreciate it. Good luck. Hope you get to start traveling and get on the road. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Julia Morales again with us on SicEm365 Radio, field reporter for the Astros television network. And there's still some that are not able to move around. The Rangers had a broadcast the other day when Nadell and company were down. It might have been in Houston where they were allowed to travel. And I remember Cooperstein from afar was like, God, I wish that was us as they started they're about to start the NBA playoffs. He brought that up yesterday.
You don't get in that business to stay in the home booth the whole time. I mean,
it's like when we do the show on Zoom. We got kind of used to it because of the freeze. We got used to it a couple of things because of COVID, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being in the studio with us. And it's to then have it for a year and a half. It's crazy. It's not been easy at all. All right, when we come back, John McClain, Hall of Fame writer for the Houston Chronicle. Dave Aranda will be in Houston tomorrow for the Houston Touchdown Club.
I got one note I got to ask. So when we talked to Jacob Gall earlier, did you hear how he said Aranda?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
We got to get that squared away. We got to get what old Coach Dave Aranda wants to be, how he wants to pronounce. Because I want to make sure it's right. Right? I don't want to say Aranda
yeah.
because I'm East Texan and, it's Aranda. Quite a difference there. So that was something I just heard him say, and I was like, huh. He said it kind of like how I've heard a couple coaches say it.
Well, we had the coach that was a part of the Hispanic Texas High School Coaches Association.
Really
and I'll be honest with you. The way he said it, I just thought that was natural for him to say it that way. I'll be honest, right?
Yeah.
Aranda. He, rolling the R or whatever. Okay, well, I'll find that out.
Yeah. But, I mean, Texas, we take liberties.
Aranda.
We take liberties.
Aranda.
I mean, I know a lot of guys who just call Ramirez, Ramirez, so.
When we come back, John McClain, his thoughts, in fact, on Dave Aranda going to Houston for the Touchdown Club tomorrow and more, including his thoughts about what's happening with the Texans, the Astros, and, the Rockets are done for the year. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302. You
want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, 537, the legend, Hall of Famer, icon, John McClain, Houston Chronicle, NFL Hall of Fame writer, voter. And tomorrow night, down in your neck of the woods, John, it's the Dave Aranda, Baylor football coach at the Omni Galleria in the Houston Touchdown Club. People what kind of feedback are you getting on that?
Well, everybody's fired up to hear Aranda talk about the team coming back, changes he's made on his coaching staff, and they're really looking forward to it, as I'm sure all the alumni groups around Texas will be, and I'm sure Dave will bring up something about the national championship basketball team when he's making his introductory remarks.
John, it appears there's some more kind of strange things going on with Tony Busby and the Deshaun Watson thing. Rusty Hardin's been through a lot of different things, and he's not intimidated by anyone. But is this kind of even a new thing for him? Is litigating a case through Instagram?
Well, it's they're doing a lot of it at Facebook, Instagram. Rusty's 79 years old, and he's been around a long time. And Busby, I think, is in his 50s. And so I don't believe anything either one of them says, because without calling the other one a liar, they're basically calling each other a liar. And Rusty Hardin said that they've agreed to settle, but they want the settlement made public. And Busby doesn't. And Busby said he's never agreed to settle. So the truth is somewhere in the middle, as it is most of the time in situations like this. But all I know is it's not done, and until it is, it isn't.
John, I saw where the Texans are underdogs in every single game next year, according to Las Vegas. And I know you've made it very clear that, especially with the Deshaun Watson stuff, you're not expecting some great season. But what are the expectations? Is it? I guess it's leaning more towards 0-17 than 17-0. But kind of what are the expectations in your mind for Houston next year?
Craig, when the schedule came down, I went over each game, and I predicted at that point the Texans would finish 3-14. They would avoid their fewest victories, which is 2, twice. They would tie their most losses, 14. But the fact is, nobody's got a clue right now. This team has 47 new players. They've got a new defensive system, a new head coach, 14 new coaches, and they're not sure who the starting quarterback will be. We expect it to be Tyrod Taylor. Of course, Deshaun Watson will either be still involved in his legal issues or he'll be traded. And so I think everybody thinks Texans are going to be really bad. And the truth is, with all these players they've brought in, they've taken some chances on guys who have played well and then didn't, gambling that maybe this stuff can get it out of them, or guys coming off of injuries. They have quite a few guys who were hampered by injuries last year who they are hoping can stay healthy on both sides of the ball. And all these new guys, including 37 veterans, are not going to make the team, but they are going to be very competitive. You have a lot of veteran players on 1- and 2-year contracts going to give their best because they're hoping to impress this new regime and get an extension for a lot more money when the salary cap goes up in March. So I have no idea. It's ridiculous having a great team after a game. It's ridiculous to have to predict the season after the schedule comes up. But people love it, so I'm happy to do it, and usually I'm way wrong.
John, the NFL, and this has been a while, but they're going to 17 games, and in the end, that's all money, right? That's the only reason they're going to 17 games?
They're going to 17. Everything that the NFL does, David, is because of money. And that's the reason they just signed a $10.7 billion TV deal. Everything is built around making money. And then they have to negotiate with the union. Somebody wrote today that if the union had put up the kind of squawk when it came during the collective bargaining negotiations that it's putting up about players staying away from what's always an easy off-season program with no pads and no hitting, they might have made even more gains, but they didn't. So they got rid of that extra preseason game. They had a regular season. At some point, they'll be going to 18 games in 2 preseasons.
John, is the Players Union's problem is that there's 32 owners, so if 2 of them don't agree, you can stick him in a room with Jerry Jones and someone else and work it out. And the players, there's too many players, so there's too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to what they're trying to negotiate and figure out.
If you multiply 32 times about, say, you have a 53-man roster, 12-player practice squad, you're going to have 5 to 10 players on injured reserve. And so you figure that per each team on the average, multiply it times 32, and that's how many players there are. When they voted on that collective bargaining agreement, all you got to do is hit something on email to cast your vote. More than 500 players didn't vote. The union forever has been very apathetic. The last time there was a player strike, 1987, they were playing replacement games. You had a lot of star players crossing the picket lines. Unlike baseball and basketball, they're not united. There's too many players. The seasons are too short. They have to make the money while they can. Minimum salary is not $1 million like it is in the other sports. So they're not as united. As I've said a million times, the union runs baseball, the players run basketball, and the owners run the NFL.
Yeah, there's no question. And it's as if when the union walks in the door in NFL, whether it's Demarius Smith or whoever, when they walk in the door, they've lost, right? Before they even walk in the door, it seems like they're defeated.
Well, they make a lot of money. They've got the off season as easy as it can be. Training camp's easy, no double days. It's amazing how much easier it is to play in the NFL than it was back in the 90s or the 80s. And the players are making a whole lot more money. They're playing longer. They have everything you could need to help them get their bodies in good shape. The food, they're fed at their facility. It's the best time to be an NFL player. So the income goes up, but not like it does for the owners. Of course, the owners own and the players play. And the last thing the NFL wants is to see a few agents and players turn it into the NBA, where if LeBron James wants to go to the Lakers or Shaq and Kobe want to go to the Lakers, they want to have a dynasty, they're able to pull it off with their agents. And that's happened to a certain extent with cornerback Jalen Ramsey and safety Jamal Adams. They got away from 2 losers, the Jaguars and the Jets, to go to winners, the Rams and the Seahawks. Deshaun Watson wants out. Not sure Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's going anywhere, but he still wants to go. And so they want to try to dictate where more of the players play, and that's something the NFL wants to avoid at all costs, turning the NFL into the NBA.
John, speaking of the NBA, the Rockets now sit and wait for those ping pong balls to fall their way. How depressed will the city of Houston be if Cade Cunningham is not a Houston Rocket come a month and a half from now?
Yeah, I don't think half the people in Houston know who Cade Cunningham is. It's not like he's a dominant player that everybody thinks is a generational talent like, say, Trevor Lawrence was. But, those of us who watched him at Oklahoma State see what a great player he can be, shooter and leader and everything. But I was reading about the draft today because the Rockets have a 52.1% chance of getting one of the top 4 picks. Now, they got lucky with Yao Ming. They were way down the lottery list, and they got him. They got Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon back-to-back, which created a lottery because they were tanking so bad. And they were just terrible this year. They started off 11-10 and ended up with the worst record in the league. Only won, 6 more games. I think they're like 6-45. So they didn't tank. They had a lot of injuries. They had players bailed on them. They were traded. But they do have 3 number 1 draft choices. They have multiple number 1s for years. Now the key is their new regime has to prove they know what to do with them.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
Thank you,
as
guys.
always. Yes, sir. By the way, Nikki Collin has announced yet another member of her staff at basketball ops, Michael Mata, who went to Old Dominion and also went to Providence College. He announced as Baylor's new director of women's basketball operations.
Assistant AD for basketball operations.
So that's another part of the addition to Nikki Collin and her staff. And I'm trying to look as I'm tap dancing here whether or not he's related to the great Dick Motta.
So Grayson pointed this out to me earlier when we were recording the podcast, and I know you're on the board quite a bit. Paul, not so much, but I kind of stepped away from all the Mulkey talk after about 5 straight days of it. I just wanted a break because I felt like I had pretty much said everything I had to say and had heard everything that needed to be heard. So this little back and forth or whatever that continues on, I don't care to be involved with it. But he was telling me that there is a segment of fans out there who feel like it's Final Four or bust for Nikki Collin next year. And I was like, you're joking me. And he's like, no, they're actually being serious. And to me, I think those are people just rooting for her to fail, right out of the gates. Is that what y'all get as well? Because they didn't make the Final Four this year.
I would assume that there's some overlap in those people who were mad at Jim Grobe.
Okay.
Who thought Matt Rule couldn't, didn't know if a football was pumped or stuffed because he came from north of the Mason-Dixon line. So, I think that's the same kind of people. Like it's,
I just was curious if you guys had seen any of that, but I was like, Grayson, shut up, dude. Like you're joking. He's like, no, there's people who are seriously like, she has to make the Final Four. And I'm like, well, those are people who just don't want her to win many games.
Look, sometimes
one of the things go ahead.
Sometimes people leave of their own volition, and you just cannot, get past it because you want to blame something else that they left. But I mean, look, Kim's made it pretty clear she left of her own volition. This wasn't.
Don't take it out on Nikki Collin. Nikki Collin's just coming in to take the job.
She decided to go, so she left. Nobody pushed her anywhere. She left. So.
I did not go to Baylor, did not attend Baylor. I've covered Baylor for 11 years. I have never, and I might be overstepping my bounds here, but I don't care. I have never seen a fan base beat the crap out of each other the way the Baylor fan base does. It's like, God almighty, can you ever get along?
No, they can't.
It's like you eat your own. It's horrible at times. Well, and I also know it's very passionate, but from whether it's Mulkey, then Briles, or anything in between, it's as if you cannot agree on anything.
What we're asking for here is just the simple-minded tribal groupthink that most schools have.
Yeah. I mean, there's the out of bounds kind of comments and things like that. There's the infighting, like you said. I just find it very strange amongst Baylor fans because I do not notice this with other places. And maybe it's because I'm not embedded there. Maybe it's like this in Norman and Austin, every place. But I've never come across a fan base that seems to love its individual coaches more than it loves its school. And I've seen that now twice with Briles and with Mulkey. Now, with Briles, you can say, well, it was because of what happened and how it happened. And to a certain extent, you can try and paint Mulkey in a very slightly similar vein as far as just the exit goes. But there's a bunch of Lady Bears fans who are clearly not Lady Bears fans. They're Mulkey fans. And there were a bunch of Baylor football fans who were clearly not Baylor football fans. They were Art Briles fans.
I think that comes from just having a flash in the pan of success.
Yeah. I agree.
They're
the only ones. Yeah, they're the only ones that can do it here because they're the only ones that can have the success. So
there's nothing they left behind. They didn't improve the culture. They didn't improve the facilities. They didn't prove to anyone that people can win at Baylor. It's not just them.
Yeah.
They left stuff here.
Yeah.
Some of it has to go with them, but not everything has to go with them. So I'm with you. I don't understand why we've got these tribes around the coaches and not around the program.
It's cults. Almost like cult-like in certain ways,
you're right. I mean, Jack's dead on. It's like, it's not, it's also when you do that, you really sell your university short. Look, everyone else who runs this place is an idiot.
Yeah.
And they've only stumbled across a couple of good decisions because every now and again the blind squirrel finds an acorn is ridiculous to think that.
Yeah.
It would be true if everything was bad all the time and then those are the only two good things, but that's not the numbers don't bear that out. The evidence doesn't bear that out anymore in that, it's a surprise now when an athletic team has a really bad season. It was not for a long time, so I get people have that historical mistrust, but just live in the now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I see comments, and they're clear from people who just don't like Mack Rhoades because of Kim or for other reasons or whatever. And they're like, they act like he's the worst thing ever. And I'm like, okay, basketball just won a national title. Tennis is in the, like, I could go on in pretty much every sport but football this past year for the most part. All of them have done well, made the postseason. Softball's limping, but they're in the postseason. You know, they still got there. Who knows what they could do this weekend? You know, odds are slim, but still, they're in the postseason. But yeah, I was curious about that because when he told me that, I was like, that's so ridiculous. And no way in the world am I putting those kind of expectations on a first-year head coach with a changing roster that's changed even since we had that initial conversation like 5 hours ago. But yeah, I just have always found it sort of strange, just the obsession with individual coaches around here. It's just it's weird to me, but I know there's circumstances that sort of dictate that as well. So.
All right, here we go. 5:53, Paul's ending of every show whenever he's here, which is most every day. It's just that there was a stretch there where he took a little time away, a little sabbatical, to end the show with his 5 at 5:55.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club, bringing the funny back to Waco. Go to slapstickscomedy.com to buy tickets for our May 29th show that's going to be at Rogue Media Network, which is on Austin Avenue. And 45 tickets just for that improv show. I believe it's going to be at 8 or 8:30. Anyway, we had a great time on May 1st doing our first show as the Slapsticks improv comedy troupe. It's really fun. We have a good time. None of it's scripted. It's all a blast. So I hope you guys can come out and see that. Slapstickscomedy.com. All right, following up on yesterday's top 5 most bummer last stops for NFL and Major League Baseball players. I didn't do this in the NBA because it would just be the whole list would have been that. And so I decided just to do that whole list because this is maybe even more of a bummer than any other sport because of the way it is in basketball. You can kind of to play it out a little longer. So number 5, and this guy is not as big a star as anybody else on the list, but this is kind of where I'm at. He was a big star for a short amount of time. But Steve Francis in China averaged half a point a game.
Did he really?
Yeah, for about 10 days before he said, I don't want to live in China.
So occasionally he hit a free throw.
Yeah, half a point a game.
I don't know what Steve Francis is, like what's his status right now? Do you have any idea?
He's been in the league for 11 years.
Hell of a player at Maryland, right?
The reason why I ask is because it was like not but 4 or 5 years ago where there was just some really just awful looking pictures of him. Like as far as he just looked awful. Like he had aged. He looked like he was just in bad shape. And that's what I think of now when I think of Steve Francis, sadly enough. So I just wasn't sure if he was still on that. It was like he was having some alcohol problems, I think, was what was going on. But
here it is right there. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was looking real tired. But yeah, sorry to get off on that tangent. That's what I think of when I think of Steve Francis.
Yeah, I see it there. All right. Number 4, Shaquille O'Neal with the Boston Celtics. He wore number 36. They didn't fit him. No. 36 isn't a good basketball number.
I don't even remember that.
I mean, he was injured. It was only one season. He was injured most of the year. His feet were starting to kind of give out on him. He kept having foot problems. It was rough for someone who was at the most dominant part of his career. Really, really fun to watch. Just bowl over people. Number 3, and this one, ended in the playoffs, but still
don't remember this one.
Hakeem Olajuwon with the Raptors.
Maybe I've got a filter up, kind of like RoboCollar when it comes to guys playing like this.
Yeah, I remember that. It didn't last very long, but yeah, I definitely remember Hakeem going to Toronto.
One of my all-time favorite players ever. Yeah. Top 5. He and Dr. J's one of them, too.
All right, number 2, Patrick Ewing with the Orlando Magic. Did anyone know that this actually happened?
I could barely find a picture of him on the Orlando.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He wound up on the coaching. He was essentially a coach on the bench, and then he played a little bit, but it was
took Georgetown to the NCAA tournament this year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And number 1, Michael Jordan with the Wizards. I mean, this was...
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I wish he never would have done that. I was amped for Michael to come back, but, and there was I guess there was some appeal that he was going to be playing for a different team, but that quickly wore off. It really quickly wore off. And when you're seeing him, going up against the Iversons and the Bryants and the guys who were just clearly so much younger and so much healthier and, so much more in their primes. Those were just so forgettable That was such a forgettable time for MJ fans.
I will say this. Personally, for me, this worked out in that Michael Jordan did not care for Leonard Hamilton and sent Leonard Hamilton right to Florida State, where he's been ever since. And he's done a really good job there, in spite of the fact that early on I didn't think he was. But he also can, and I've heard that he does, will tell people, listen, I coached Michael Jordan. Kids aren't smart enough to look up the fact that Michael Jordan fired his ass, but he can say he coached Michael Jordan, and that's a thing.
By the way, I just sent an email. I'm not sure if you're going to get it. I know we're up against the top of the hour. An email, a picture of Steve Francis. Well, you may not be able to post it because there's a word on there that we don't need to put up there. But he talked about how he went from selling drugs on the street corner in D.C. to the NBA in 4 years. Now it's over. It's a wrap at 32. I knew it was the end. That's some really, really hard blank to swallow. And he looks like
I'm telling you, I saw a picture of him like 2 years ago, and he was at a Houston club, and I want to say like there was some altercation or something there. Like he got in trouble or something happened. And I remember just seeing the picture afterwards and going, golly, man, I hope he gets some help soon, because he just looks so rough. But
Daniel Acton on the text line, brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine. No Dennis Rodman to the Mavericks on that list.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I mean, living in I think Steve Francis to China probably bumped him off of it. But Dennis Rodman living in Mark Cuban's guest house while he played for the Mavs.
Here's from Chase on Twitter, a direct message. Smoak, I'm not sure if you heard about this. Marshall and Hallsville, round 3 of the baseball playoffs. They're limiting Marshall fans to 169 tickets to the games in Hallsville. Have you ever heard of that before? Some hot folks around here are scared we might pack it out. They beat Highland Park at a last inning, base hit and a couple of runs scored to beat Highland Park in baseball. And this note as well, Leon Barmore, who was going to introduce Kim Mulkey at the Naismith Hall of Fame, they will have a statue, it appears. They'll honor him outside of Louisiana Tech's Thomas Assembly Center with a statue of the former Baylor assistant coach, longtime La Tech head coach, along with Sonia Hogue. And he, of course, was going to introduce Kim at the Naismith, but he's not doing well. He's under the weather. Health-wise, it's not good, and you wonder if they're trying to make sure that they can honor him now. All right.
I had a question about the ceremony on Saturday. My sister had texted me. She's like, "Hey, why is Vanessa Bryant inducting Kobe?" Because I thought for the whole time it was supposed to be Michael Jordan, and found out that like 3 days before the ceremony is when Vanessa, I guess, whatever happened to where she became the speaker, and Michael was just standing there basically to the side the entire time.
None of the people who were there to introduce or bring somebody on, they all just stood there.
Yeah, so like when he was announced initially for Mulkey and for Kobe, you're like, oh, Michael Jordan's doing a speech, and
he didn't say a word. Yeah.
And then you get up there and he's just standing on the stage. He wasn't talking at all, hardly. I think
it was for time because it was 9 or 10 or whatever, but they didn't say anything because sometimes those speeches can go long, and so can the speeches themselves. Okay, Jack and Hayden, again, great job. Thank you so much. Thanks to Jacob Gall, the new Baylor offensive lineman. Thanks to Grayson Grundhafer on Jacob Gall, Jeff Hume, Stephen Mackey, Mack Rhoades, David Hellman, Julie Morales, and John McClain. For Craig and Paul, I'm David Smoak. Thank you for watching and listening on all the various media outlets and I guess, what would you call them, mediums? Is that right, Paul? Mm-hmm. This is SicEm365 Radio. Good night.
Business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.